Coming up on today's show, we're recapping Sony's latest state of play. We've got an update on the demise of Anthem, and what is Henry Cavill teasing? His abs.
Oh, not quite. Actually,
No.
there were no abs
He was
to be
actually
had.
very fully clothed. What's good, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast. I am one of your hosts, Andrea Renee, joined by Miss Christine Steimer
Oh, hello.
and Miss Brittany Brombacher.
Oh, hello. God, I sound like a demon. That didn't go very well. I didn't get enough phlegm in it. I'm very sad about
you're
that.
like working up a little bit in your throat.
I like it. I like it. This, of course, is your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. And we moved the recording of the show to Thursday, the night before, so we could include that PlayStation State of Play that happened today, along with some other news that broke. It was a busy news week.
It was.
Busier
and
than
I
I
feel like
anticipated.
there's still so much more we could have added to this. But alas, we can't do a 4-hour show.
No.
I mean, we could, but I don't think
Nobody
any of us
would
would want
listen.
to.
No.
Y'all wouldn't listen. Y'all can barely
I
hang
wouldn't
with a
want to sit
3-hour
here
show.
for 4 hours. I'd be like, my
No.
butt hurts. I want to go inside.
I'm tired. I need a chocolate break.
Ooh. Yes.
Yes.
Later.
Later, indeed.
Once we've earned it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, we are glad that you are here, whether it is your first episode or your 223rd episode of What's
Woof.
Good Games. We appreciate you supporting the show, like our February Patreon producers, Chewy's Godson, Alex Rigopulos, Faris Attieh, Justin Foshee, Marcusine Brown, DaNanoBiologist, Mohammed Mohammed, and Punkdefied. Plus, welcome to our Patreon community, Cosmic Copy. You guys can be part of the show at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames, where you can submit questions, submit ideas for Patreon-produced segments like we're going to talk about a little bit later on. You can also get the show ad-free. Brittany, we have some new podcast reviewers as well.
We do. Huge shout out to Not Hubert, Rebecca13, Snake Cuz, Small Town Mango, Yamama Side Piece, and Sis Montaigne. I like Yamama
I like that
Side
it's
Piece.
ya mamas and not yo mamas.
Yeah,
It just feels a
yeah.
little less aggressive.
It does. It's like casually, I'm boinking
Yeah,
your mom.
It's your
but
mamas.
Don't be mad about it.
It's not yo
Yeah.
mamas. It's your mamas.
Yeah. It's matter of factly. Yeah, thank you so much to everyone who are leaving these lovely reviews for us. We say this every week, but it really does help us out. And it makes us feel warm and fuzzy.
We
Did
love
you guys ever make warm fuzzies in elementary school?
Wait,
What?
is that a real thing?
Yeah. It's just a dumb like yarn project you can do where you like make little yarn ball. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how to make it, but you had to like cut them and then they would flip out and then they'd be like little fuzzy yarn ball things.
I literally had no
Huh.
idea that there was actually a physical item called a warm and fuzzy.
I don't know.
No,
I
me
mean, maybe they
neither.
just lied to us and told them that's what they were called, but we made them.
I'm in for this
Summer
lie, though. It's a good one.
with the random like snow maple syrup, whatever the fuck. Now warm.
Apparently, we did a lot of weird stuff in Washington. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you never gave us an update on how your snow project went.
I tried to make the maple syrup snow sickles or whatever they were, but what I found out are that the birds around here, and this is my fault for feeding my birds and getting them lovely bird seed. They love the hot tub when there's a tray on it with parchment paper. I don't know why, but they flocked to it. So I tried twice. And the first time I went out there and looked, and there were little bird tracks everywhere. I'm like, well, I can't eat this now. So I
Oh,
put another
no.
one out there. Yeah. And then and there was another bird track, and I'm like, I give up. So I gave it a solid effort.
You did try.
but
Yeah.
I did try. And I just had the syrup on Eggos after that. So it was kind of a win-win.
Yeah, I
I
appreciate
had Eggos
your
the other
effort.
day. They were great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm into Eggos.
Anyways.
Food. All right, we have a bunch of news to get into, so let's get into it. But first, I want to say that this week's episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by Logitech, Fixture Gaming, and our friends at HelloFresh. But we're going to talk more about them later. For now, let's talk about PlayStation. But Britt, you have a disclaimer here in the show notes.
Yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to Pokemon for deciding to host their Pokemon Presents at 7 a.m. on a Friday, which is literally when our podcast releases.
Yeah.
That does not
Thanks,
help us.
Pokemon.
No, we can't win them all. I'm happy we were at least able to get the state of play in here, but still, thanks. I'll go F off. Don't do it again.
Goodbye.
That's all.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Pokemon. Hopefully you announce something cool. Check Twitter. I'm sure something happened.
Diamond and Pearl remakes.
Fingers crossed, Spread. Fingers crossed for you. So, Sony had their State of Play. Brittany and I did a watch along at twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames. You guys can watch the VOD of that live reacts. They announced this on Twitter earlier in the week and said it's going to be about 30 minutes. We're going to talk about games coming in 2021. And there was obviously rampant speculation about what was going to be included, what wasn't going to be included. Sony came right out the door and said, hey, we're not going to be talking about hardware because instead we put up a blog post about PSVR 2, which we're going to talk about later on in the show. But so we knew we weren't going to get any updates on like DualSense or PS5 shipments, any of that. We knew it was just going to be about games. And overall, I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't the heavy hitters that I think a lot of us were anticipating, like the Horizon Forbidden West, nothing on God of War. And I think, it was focused on some of these smaller games, which I think, smaller being like AA or whatever you cool kids want to call it, that I think have a lot of promise and potential, but there just wasn't like that holy shit, except for at the very end when we got to the Final Fantasy VII announcement, that I think a lot of people got their panties in a tight and pleasurable twisted bunch.
Yeah, well, would you want to, should we just start with that?
Let's just start with
Tell
the
us
good
about
shit.
your panties twisting, Brittany. What happened?
Oh, that's an explicit podcast. I don't know if I can do that on here, Sammer. So Final Fantasy VII Intergrade announced for PS5. Excuse me, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. So Final Fantasy VII, this comes all from IGN, by the way. Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to PlayStation 5 on June 10th as Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. The PS5 version will add new textures, fog effects, improved lighting, and faster load times. It will be playable in one of two game modes, a performance mode that runs at 60 FPS or a graphics mode that prioritizes 4K resolution. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade also adds a new photo mode and support for the DualSense controller's haptic feedback. Those who own Final Fantasy VII Remake for PS4 will be able to upgrade and carry their save data over to PS5 for free, with one exception. PS5 Digital Edition owners can't upgrade their physical copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake for PS4 to the PS5 Digital Edition. Intergrade also introduces an all-new episode in which you'll play as Ninja Yuffie Kisagari as she infiltrates the shadowy Shinra Corporation to steal a powerful materia and restore glory to her homeland. It will be released alongside the PS5 upgrade on June 10th, though it won't be free. A price for Yuffie's DLC has not been announced. Alongside the standard edition, Square will release a digital deluxe edition of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade for PS5 that includes a digital mini soundtrack and a digital art book. Shout out to Andrea for predicting this. Before we went live during our Twitch stream, she's like, I would really like to see this. And it happened.
Is he what, just some DLC or?
I had predicted that we would get a PS5 upgrade for Final Fantasy VII Remake, knowing PlayStation's long history working with Square Enix. Obviously, they debuted this game at a press conference for PlayStation, and we hadn't really heard anything about this game coming to PS5, and I was like, this is a perfect game to get a graphical upgrade for PS5, and lo and behold, not only did we get a graphical upgrade with enhancements, but we also got a new DLC episode, which I think is a great reason for people to go back and replay this game if they already played it on, their PS4. And the fact that they're making it free for the graphical upgrade is great. Obviously, DLC is typically paid. I know that some studios have been very generous with free DLC, but I absolutely do not have any problems with paying for additional story and narrative content in a game. I would guess that something like this is going to be in the $19.99 to $29.99 range, depending on how big it is, but we don't really know, right?
Sammy Nichols from patreon.com/whatsgoodgames asks, how much do you think are they going to charge for the Yuffie episode? And when they call it an episode, is it part of the episodic series of Final Fantasy VII Remake, or is it just DLC? Yeah, I'm with you, Andrea. It's going to depend on, obviously, what we're really getting here. I think there's a lot of really cool potential. So for those of you who don't know, and I won't talk too much about this character because, obviously, it's going to be new for a lot of you. She is an optional character in the original Final Fantasy VII game. You don't have to recruit her. So therefore she hasn't had any major implications into the original storyline, but obviously some scenes are kind of reworked for her involvement. She's a really fun lighthearted, although a little obnoxious, I think, but she's like a really friendly character. She's always trying to help out. And I think this is going to run, if we haven't made this clear, I think it's going to run concurrently with Final Fantasy VII storyline. So we'll kind of see what she's up to and what she's been doing, because you typically don't meet her until after you leave Midgar. And so in the next episode rather, I assume we'll meet her because it's shortly after you leave. So this is probably like a little backstory into, well, who is this character that you'll meet in the next episode of Final Fantasy VII Remake? And we do have the other character too that is brand new as well.
That annoys
whatever
me.
His name is.
If it is like in line with the campaign, because I just want to play that bit. Like I don't want to have to play the whole game over again. Not that I enjoyed my time with the first game, but like I just want to play the DLC. I don't want to play the rest.
I imagine that's how they'll do it. It's kind of like Final Fantasy 15, if we remember. They had like the episode Prompto and Ignis and da-da-da. It was just something you could boot up from the start menu. So I can't imagine that you'll have to. Yeah, I 100% believe they would do that.
I don't want to do the whole thing.
You don't want to spend another like 40 hours just to get like another like few hours of content, maybe. I don't know how long this is going to be.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's 40 hours. I've spent 75 hours playing that
game.
Wait,
how long was it? Was it longer than 40 hours?
I feel like you could speed run that in probably like 40 hours, maybe a little less. But if you do side quests,
I did all of the side quests.
Did you do all the side quests in 40 hours?
I don't remember my hours. I think it was around 40. But I turned it on easy like 15 hours in or something. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm playing it on easy. And then I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. There was a pretty big...
There was a huge gap because I watched you play some of the boss battles on normal. And I was like, no, thank you. Like, I was really glad. And then it cemented my decision to turn it on easy. I was like, you know what? I feel good about it.
I did the same thing. Like halfway through, I was like, this is great, but I just want to get to the story and the good meat and potatoes of it. So that might have something to do with it.
I feel that. I mean, they did make it easy to like kind of like hot swap between the two modes. Yeah. Which was really nice. And obviously we're fans of baby mode. So this was definitely the biggest piece of news that we got out of the state of play today. And I think it's a great piece of news. This was one of my favorite games. Very surprisingly, as somebody who's never finished a Final Fantasy game before, really gravitating towards this. So if you guys missed it when it came out the first time and you have a PS5, what a great reason to
it was really great. I liked it a lot.
Indeed. And like I was saying earlier, there's the new character Sonon Kusakabe, and he's brand new. And so we don't know what his role is going to be. And it kind of plays into this fact that if he survives past this DLC, then Square really is going to be changing up the story. It's kind of interesting, but who knows when we're going to get episode 2. Related to this announcement, though, Square announced 2 mobile games related to Final Fantasy VII right after the state of play. So they announced the first soldier in Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. So there is the first soldier, which is a battle royale game set in Midgar before the events of Final Fantasy VII. And then they also announced Ever Crisis, which is, quote, a chapter-structured single-player game covering the whole of the Final Fantasy VII timeline, including the events of the original game and the Final Fantasy VII compilation titles. So when they say compilation titles, what they're talking about are, you got Advent Children, which takes place 2 years after Final Fantasy VII. You have Before Crisis, which is 6 years before Final Fantasy VII. Crisis Core, which is 7 years before. And I believe that one stars Zack. And then you have Dirge of Cerberus, but
sorry, music just started playing in my ears. And
I can't hear that. It's because Twitter is the fucking worst.
Yeah, sorry, it just startled me. I wasn't expecting it.
You know, it just keeps you on your toes. And then that one stars Vincent, who is also an optional character in Final Fantasy VII, just like Yuffie is. So this kind of looks like more akin to the PlayStation version of the game, like the same sort of camera angles, the top-down view, the little character polygon dudes.
Yeah, they're very old.
This looks
they're
like
really
the
cute
version of Final Fantasy
Biggs,
15
it's my husband.
Yes, and they have these really cute, like anime style character portraits that come alongside their dialogue. So I think this is really great because obviously, like, you know, you two know there's a lot of history of Final Fantasy VII that if you haven't played before, or you haven't looked into some of the spin-off titles, you're like, who the hell is Zack? Why does this matter? And I think this could be a really good way to kind of just briefly give you an overview of like what's going on in the background, especially if Square is going to be like, you know, going off the beaten path with their story.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, it looks cute though. It looks good.
Look how big their feet are. I love it.
I know. Kind of makes me want to play the PS1 version again. Kind of.
I think this
Look at
I
Cloud.
yeah, their portraits are really beautiful.
Yeah. So there you
I
go.
like it. I like the mix of old and anime.
Today is the day of Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
Final-
Yes,
Yes,
indeed.
indeed.
But there was so much more than just Final Fantasy in the state of play. We got a look at several other titles. A couple we're going to spend some time on, a couple we're going to breeze by, so a couple that we're not going to spend time on. Crash Bandicoot 4. I was really disappointed that PlayStation decided to open their state of play with this title. Obviously, they have a very deep partnership with Activision, and that's cool, I guess, but this is a game that is just getting an up-res version for next-gen consoles, which is awesome, but I wouldn't have spent this much time in a state of play on it, but clearly this is like an obligation to their partner, which is fine. I would have rather have seen Ratchet and Clank in the state of play, which is coming out this summer, and we didn't get to see or hear from that
We
game
saw
at
nothing first party, right?
all.
Correct?
No.
Well,
Yeah.
what
It's
else?
all-
What was first party?
I mean, Kena Bridge of Spirits is an exclusive, but that's not a first-party game, is it?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I think this is all partner stuff, which
They probably should have just said that.
that this is a partner showcase.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have
So
to
that
go back
people
and
weren't
look
like,
at.
God of War, God of War.
Right?
Yeah, everybody was excited about seeing something first party. We did get another deep dive into Oddworld Soulstorm, which is
But
a
that's
game.
like, stop talking about this game.
Yes,
I
but
felt that
we got an April release date.
That's nice. That one in Deathloop, I'm like, stop.
Yeah, Deathloop.
Stop.
I think was a little bit more exciting for people just because everyone loves Bethesda and Arcane is a beloved studio as well, and this is like a unique concept for a game. But you know, we know that the game is coming, right?
Like,
And
we all
just-
get it.
we've
Like, it
seen
looks
it.
cool. People
Yeah.
are on board. You don't need to keep, like, just tell us when it's coming out.
Yeah, no,
And then hit the date.
I feel you. I also didn't need to see more about dodgeball game Knockout City that was debuted in the Nintendo Direct last week and had a beta this past weekend. I thought that was kind of a head scratcher that Sony chose to spend time on that game as well. Also, clearly seems like a partner obligation. And I was just like, ugh, there's nothing wrong with that game, for the record. When we're talking about a state of play that we haven't gotten a good one since last summer of 2020, we just wanted a little bit, I think, more new info. However, we did get some cool looks. So speaking of Kena Bridge of Spirits, Britt, I know this was a game that you were excited
I'm
about
excited
seeing.
about it.
Yeah, it's so cute. And let me just show you guys a little bit of B-roll of this like adorable game. And what I loved about the look at this game that we got is that they showed some really nice combat scenarios, which I thought was cool. So instead of just seeing these like CG cute animated scenes, we actually got to see from Ember Lab here at the studio a little bit more about what gameplay is going to look like.
It's so
Yeah.
pretty.
So the description of this game is a story-driven action adventure with a stunning visual aesthetic combining exploration with fast-paced combat. Players find and grow a team of charming spirit companions called the Rot, which is not a very charming name, enhancing their abilities and creating new ways to manipulate the environment. It just looks really
It looks
good.
like you're
and when
playing a Pixar movie, which I like.
right?
Yes.
And so I was, who was it in chat? I don't remember. So sorry, I'm not giving you the credit. But they told us that Ember Lab actually was in, what's the name of it? It was an animation studio. And this is their, I think, first or like dive into video games, which is why the animation just looks so fucking top notch. But either way, I mean, it just looks really fun. I kind of have some Zelda-y vibes when they get into the gameplay. And I think the combat looks, the combat looks so good. I'm really
Yeah.
excited for it. Yeah. I
That
think it'll be.
I
yeah.
think it looks really, really great. And yeah, that got a release date as well. August 24th,
Oh, yeah.
2021.
Yes. So coming out very soon. Another game that we got a deeper dive at that I actually was, it may have changed my mind on, that I wasn't sold on when we originally saw it, was Housemarque's Returnal. So this was a game that when we saw it debut at State of Play previously, I was just like, I don't understand what this game is. It looks a little weird. And then this deep dive trailer that we got in the State of Play, I think has turned me around and been a really good opportunity for the developers to kind of engage my interest in this game, because it's giving me like a little bit of Prey vibes, and also it's got a really interesting movement system where there's like this dash that you can do. And as Britt pointed out during our watch along, they blessedly gave HUD in the gameplay. And I was like, thank you. This is all I want from gameplay, is I just want to see the on-screen information, the way the game is going to look while I'm actually playing it.
It kind of reminds me a little of Recore too. I don't know if you ladies played that, but but the one thing with this that I'm not so sure about is it is a roguelike. And I didn't quite know that, but I guess if your name is Returnal, that kind of makes sense.
Yes.
It makes sense. So you play as astronaut Celine, I believe is her name, and you crash land on an alien planet. And past that, like, I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but it is designed for replayability, thus the roguelike. And it sounds like as you make progress through, you will be able to have like permanent unlocks or permanent abilities
Upgrades
or items. Yeah. And if you unlock a certain area, you know, like you lower a bridge or something, like that bridge will always remain unlocked no matter where it is and where you find it. It's kind of the vibe I was getting reading an interview with the director, whose name is Harry Kruger. So this is probably like one of those things where I'll like, Andrea or Steimer, you guys play this and you let me know how punishing it is. Because if it's super punishing, like I can't do it. But I think Steimer, you know, you just played Hades, and I think that was like a perfect example of roguelike done right. For me anyway, my kind of roguelike.
Yeah, no, I think this looks really interesting, and I could be wrong, but I feel like Housemarque typically has only really done twin stick shooters before.
This is definitely a departure in style and format for Housemarque.
Yeah, which for me, I'm always really impressed when studios can take that drastic of a leap and like do something that looks really cool. So same with Guerrilla when they switched to Horizon Zero Dawn, I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. And then this switch too, I was like, I just think it's cool. People doing cool shit. Even if I don't necessarily think this game speaks to me, I can appreciate the amount of time and dedication it took for them to build something completely out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, it looks like Spooky House right there.
Spooky House. I don't want the Spooky House. No Spooky
House. Summer's like, okay, I'm out.
Oh, well, then you probably aren't going to like this next game that
are you
going
to show it? Oh, don't show
it. Come on. We got to show a little Five Nights. So this was a really interesting gameplay trailer because obviously the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise has had a really interesting history, starting in the PC scene, and now they're coming to PlayStation 5 and obviously other platforms as well. And this was kind of like a really good first look, because we've seen some teasers before for this game, but not really as much in-depth gameplay as we've seen in this trailer. And it's bright, it's colorful, you get to hide in a ball pit.
Gross.
Yeah, it's
Ew,
funny,
David.
It does, like, you look at this art and it's like, oh, this could be really cute and bubbly and happy, and then like you look and there's these animatronics trying to like chase you and murder you.
I feel like I wouldn't be that. I mean, the murder part scary, but yeah, those animatronics, I'm like, not scary. They just look like an 80s band.
I mean, that's just it, right? That's the thing, is it doesn't, like, even though she's this lion lady or whatever the hell she is chasing you in this scene we're watching right now, it doesn't give me the sense of dread that I think the original Five Nights did, because you're not in this locked security room with like these flashing lights or whatnot. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how the terror kind of comes through on this game. Oh my god, that thing is scary. The rabbit.
That rabbit. Nobody likes the rabbit.
Nobody likes the rabbit.
Yeah,
it'll be good entertainment.
Yeah, you have a little bit more like control and agency, which I think will help with the fear not, taking over. So,
control the fear.
So that's good. Wait, what was that?
I said control the fear, but in a creepy, raspy voice.
Yes, exactly. Control the fear. So an interesting one that we saw for the very first time is a game from Absolver developer Slow Clap. So if you guys remember the game Absolver, and Slow Clap is... as a studio, I'm not like super familiar with their work, but this trailer certainly has really interesting art. When we were streaming, I called it Husbando Fight Simulator or something. I don't remember.
Hell yeah. You did, and I think that's a very accurate description. So no, this is a third-person action game featuring intense hand-to-hand combat. It puts you in control of a young kung fu student on his path to revenge throughout the city. So have you noticed right there, like he got knocked out, he had no hair on his face, and then all of a sudden he sprouted a nice little beard.
He's
And
like,
apparently,
I've been lying on this floor for 30 years.
so apparently, like this character, you have your kung fu to help you, but also a magical pendant that will revive you after death. And so the idea is you age significantly every time you come back to life, and that this is the price you will pay for your revenge. It's kind of an interesting concept, but I like the hand-to-hand combat.
I mean, but if you significantly aging you sucks because you only get like 4 tries and then you'll be dead.
Like, how many years do you age every time you like?
Can you fast forward into death? Like, is it like, or should you just not revive?
Why would you want to do that?
No, I'm not saying you would, but I'm saying like, so you use the thing and then it's like 30 years. Now you're 30, then you're 60, like whatever, how many years you skip.
Yeah.
My point is like, then you die in the last one, do you just stay dead, or does it like revive you and then you're 150 and then you just die because you're 150?
These are questions that you could ask Slow Clap.
Dear Slow Clap, I have a lot of questions about
Sifu is the name of the game, by the way.
Oh yeah, Sifu.
Please tell me.
That's a very logical question, Simer. So, but it kind of makes you wonder, could this be like a roguelike in the sense that like you're gonna die a whole bunch? Because if you do fast forward, like how many years do you fast forward through into death? Like
that was my point.
Asked.
Like you couldn't make it a roguelike because if it's a significant number of years, you would really only have a handful of tries before game over.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Can you imagine if you're like 90 years old trying to do all these kung fu moves against all these young whippersnappers?
Yeah, it's like also not clear if you're aged and you're like your body is still okay or if it's decayed while you've light on the floor there. I don't really know.
It's a video game. There could be some supernatural elements to it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the facial hair grew like
real quick.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Another game that I was intrigued by that we were kind of trying to figure out what the mashup of this game would be is Heart Machine's Solar Ash. So Heart Machine you may know from a little game called Hyper Light Drifter. So Solar Ash is coming to PS4 and PS5 sometime in 2021. It's a third-person action platformer that features massive scale with focus on fluidity and movement. And while we were watching this gameplay debut, like so many different games came to mind. In chat, people were talking about Sayonara Wild Hearts. They were talking about No Man's Sky. Somebody mentioned Journey. I thought that it had, some movement elements and open world elements that I saw in Journey to the Savage Planet. Some movement elements from Mirror's Edge. It's a really interesting, style of game that I haven't really quite seen put together before, and I'm excited to kind of see where they go with this world.
This demo is missing so many of the pink things and it's bothering me.
The little collectibles.
It's like, get the collectibles. Oh, God, you missed all of them. Why are you missing all of them? Oh. And that makes me think I won't be able to play this game because I will be so annoyed with myself for missing all of them just as much.
Were you that person when you played Sonic that you had to get all the rings?
I never really got to play a lot of Sonic, but yes, I definitely wanted to get all the rings. I mean, if there was one, I was like, fuck it, we're leaving it leave it behind. But I would not. I don't like missing giant chunks.
Yeah, giant chunks of collectibles.
Yeah,
I feel you. But I thought that this game looked neat. And
yeah, it looks super cool.
Certainly, when I had kind of heard about this game before, I wasn't particularly intrigued, but now I am. I think the art looks cool.
I think the art is beautiful. Yeah. I love that video games use color now. Remember when everything was brown?
Brown.
Sure do.
Yeah.
So that's probably, kind of like a high level recap of everything that we got in the state of play. Some games obviously getting hard release dates, some still getting release windows. And obviously the big missing feature here is something major from first party. And that was a bummer.
I think they're
waiting. It was also just silly if they were willing to caveat some of that, like okay, we're not talking about hardware, we're not doing these are the things we're talking about. They really should have just said no first party. That would have been so easy to say, and then everybody would have been expectations set.
Yeah.
I guess we're still learning how to set proper expectations in this industry, Simer.
Is there ever going to be proper expectation setting though? I feel like that is never going to happen. People are always going to wildly miscalculate what these announcements are going to be. And there's some fun in that. There's some excitement in the hype machine.
But then you just bum yourself out.
I mean, that's true.
Like, why are you doing that to yourself? The world's hard enough.
The
Stop
thrill.
setting yourself
For
up
the
to
high
fail.
of the high, you'll deal with the low of the low later.
You're like, that's a
I
future
wonder-
you problem.
It's like getting drunk, Steimer. You enjoy the ride while you're wasted, and then the next day you're like, why did I do that? As you're cracking open another beer, you're like, I
Ugh.
just can't ever learn.
Why did you say beer? Know your audience, Andrea.
I know. Well, I thought about cracking something open, and I guess you could
Oh.
crack open a bottle
Like
of
a
champagne.
seltzer.
But I would like pop open a bottle of champagne and just start drinking mimosas right away.
But you
Mimosas
said
would be
crack,
good.
so you were committed at
I
that
was,
point.
and I
Say crack
fully
again.
committed to cracking the beer open. So
I like the way you say crack. Is that
Crack.
weird?
Say crack again.
Crack.
It's a Mean
just
Girls
just
reference for
rewind and
those
listen
who
to me
don't
say crack.
know.
All right. Let's kind of cap off our PlayStation Power Hour with this PSVR 2 news. Brittany, you have pulled together yet another wonderful article.
Oh, thanks. I wish I could take credit for writing the article, but alas, I just copied and pasted it. This comes from IGN. So, PlayStation has announced the next generation of its PSVR headset, but it won't necessarily be called PlayStation VR 2, and it won't be coming in 2021. Sony confirmed that the PSVR 2 will come to PS5 and will, quote, connect to PS5 with a single cord to simplify setup and improve ease of use while enabling a high-fidelity visual experience. It's described as a next-gen VR system that enhances everything from resolution and field of view to tracking and input. No images have been released on the device. The headset will also come alongside the introduction of a new PSVR controller, seemingly replacing the PS Move wands, which will incorporate some of the key features found in the DualSense wireless controller, along with a focus on great ergonomics. However, the headset won't be available this year. Quote, there's still a lot of development underway for our new VR system, so it won't be launching in 2021. But we wanted to provide this early update to our fans, aka so you can shut the fuck up, as the development community has started to work on creating new worlds for you to explore in virtual reality. In an interview with GQ, I was like, C? I almost read that as like C, like S-I-E.
SIE, yeah.
S-I-E, CEO. Jim Ryan confirmed that there is no official title for the headset and that dev kits are about to go out, and described it as a completely new VR format for PS5, and we should learn more about it later this year.
I wonder if they were like, this is probably going to leak, so we should just talk about it.
Yes, that
Yeah.
would be my guess. But also, like, in continuing head-scratching, confusing PlayStation PR moves, Jim Ryan is doing an interview with GQ about
Get that
PlayStation VR 2.
exclusive. If you can get anything in GQ, you fucking do it, man. They're like, we want this. You're like, fine. We don't care.
Wait, is this like
Whatever.
are you
I
being
don't know if it's
facetious, or is this like a real like PR strat?
I don't know if this is an exclusive or not.
Is GQ like that, like highly sought after? I don't know.
I don't think
the,
so.
The target demo is the same for gamers, so
Yeah, but
usually.
it's a piece of really high-tech hardware. I mean, this now would make sense for another Wired exclusive.
Yeah, but like people in GQ have money, so like they're gonna be the people who could afford to buy this headset.
Oh, wow. Is that how lowly you think of the rest of us gamers are?
No, I'm just saying if you're gonna try and pitch it to people, GQ's not a bad place to go. Is all I'm saying.
I guess I'm just going to agree to disagree. I think about if I'm going to pitch an interview that's going to be read by thousands, if not millions of gamers, I would want to go to at the very least, a tech-heavy outlet that specializes in tech, but if not, specializes in video game tech.
I mean, it's an unusual choice, but I don't think it's a terrible choice.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I'm starting to kind of scan through this article, and it's not I'm not entirely sure like what they were going for, because it doesn't say like
That sounds
exclusive.
I
Whatever.
I just looked at it as like it was a tee up for PR to know that they would be able to control the message and not have to
Yeah.
deal with a lot of what they probably would deem superfluous questions about the rest of PlayStation strategy and not focus questions about PSVR 2.
Also true.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. So we have nothing to report. It's cool that it's going to be down to a single cable. I saw a lot of people commenting that they were like, but it should be wireless. And most VR platforms aren't wireless. In fact, all of the best high fidelity ones are still wired options. And I think, until we can get the technology to a point where it can be wireless and you can retain fidelity, then, a single cable is better than the multiple cables you have to deal with your PSVR now. So I'll take it. And meanwhile, if you want wireless, Oculus Quest is a thing you can get and enjoy experiences there. It's a fun system. Still not as comfortable as the PSVR though. Just my personal 2 cents. Maybe it's more comfortable on your face. All right, everybody, we're going to take our first break of the show, but we have more news when we come back. We're going to be talking about what happened with Anthem and EA's new message about single-player games and so much more. Stick with us. We'll see you in a minute. This week's episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by Logitech. Logitech has been promoting their fantastic new G733 Lightspeed wireless gaming headset, which I've talked to you guys about on the show before. I wear mine all the time when I'm playing Destiny or The Division or any other games that require me to talk to people, or sometimes when John's taking a nap and I want to just keep the game audio volume down. It provides excellent sound with fantastic technological specs like 2.4 gigahertz wireless connectivity, front-facing dual-zone light-sync RGB technology, Blue Voice mics, Pro G audio drivers, and multiple colorways to choose from because we love that customization here at WGG. You're going to get total freedom with up to 20 meters of wireless range with that Lightspeed wireless tech, and you can keep playing for hours at a time with 29 plus hours of battery life. And did I mention you can play wirelessly with your PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 with stereo sound? They really do sound great. Plus, you guys can personalize your headset lighting with those front-facing dual-zone light-sync RGBs, and the reversible suspension headband is designed for the ultimate comfort during long play sessions. Each G733 colorway has its own unique headband design with corresponding earpads. Those earpads are made of a soft dual-layer memory foam that conforms to your head and contours around your face for a better seal, reducing stress points and delivering long-lasting comfort. But really, the thing that I love a lot about this headset is that it's pretty. It's comfortable and pretty, things that all of us gamers want. I personally have the lilac with the yellow headband, but you can mix and match the different colorways with the earpads and the headbands at logitechg.com. So if lilac isn't your thing, that's okay. They have other colorways to choose from. And for a limited time, Logitech G is offering What's Good Games listeners express free shipping at logitechg.com. If you use the code What's Good Games free ship 226, you will get express shipping today. That offer, though, is not going to last long, you guys. That code is good for just 3 days. So if you've been waiting around listening to me talk about this week after week, now is the time to go to logitechg.com and use the promo code What's Good Games free ship 226 because that promo code expires in just 3 days. What's good, everybody? Welcome back. It is segment 2 of the news. Normally, this is where we would talk about what we've been playing, but there was just so much news this week. We're just going to keep on with some interesting updates. And this one is, I'm feel conflicted by this story, and I'm kind of sad about it, but also I think it's probably for the best. So over at the BioWare blog, Christian Daly, one of the producers or the executive producers on the project, wrote an update about Anthem. Now, I'm not going to read the whole blog post. If you guys want to read it, of course, you can head on over to the BioWare blog for yourself. But essentially, they announced that Anthem is no more. Rip.
They are ceasing development.
Rip in peace. Yes.
Rip in peace.
I know I said rest in peace, but don't at me. So just to read like a small bit of this, like one of the paragraphs, since Anthem's launch, the team has been working hard to continually improve the game, releasing multiple updates that brought with them a variety of improvements and introduced new content to play. Towards the end of 2019, we expanded on that effort and started working on a more fundamental restructure of the game. And then Christian continues, 2020 was a year unlike any other, however, and while we continue to make progress against all our game projects at BioWare, working from home during the pandemic has had an impact on our productivity, and not everything we had planned as a studio before COVID-19 can be accomplished without putting undue stress on the teams. I know this will be disappointing to the community of Anthem players who have been excited to see improvements we've been working on. It's also disappointing for the team who are doing brilliant work. And for me personally, Anthem is what brought me to BioWare, and the last 2 years have been some of the most challenging and rewarding experiences of my career. So that's really, I think, a hard pill to swallow, both for fans and for the developers. Like, I actually just recently saw a great movement on social media of fans of Anthem coming together and celebrating the things that they loved about the game. And as much as people love to shit on EA and BioWare for their mistakes, I think that the team in earnest did a really good job of trying to repair that game. And ultimately, you know, they just had to sacrifice something. Something had to go. And I think that this is for the best. I think that this means that BioWare is learning from their mistakes and saying, hey, we overtaxed our teams before. We lost sight of our vision before. And in order to keep everybody healthy and for our other projects to remain on track, something has to go. And we're not cutting Dragon Age because that game, you know, is really highly anticipated and part of a profitable franchise. We're not cutting Mass Effect. We just announced our new big thing for Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And so that really just leaves Anthem to be cut. And I think that if I had to choose between those three, it's a no-brainer that you're cutting Anthem.
Mm-hmm. Parker Aiden, patreon.com/whatsgoodgames sent this in. How upset are you about Anthem Next being canceled? As someone who returned to Anthem and got the platinum trophy earlier this year, I am on the fence. It's sad, but it would have been a long road ahead to bring the popularity back to even half of what it was. I will say they did have some nice quality of life stuff added between when I originally played and when I returned this year, so kudos to them. And that's kind of the idea, because I never played much of Anthem. I think I played it once with you two, way back in the day. And
I remember your big ugly mech.
I got a notification on Facebook of that photo of the mech with like the neon green and the pink.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she was sexy, Simon.
It was an acquired taste.
Acquired. But no, like after that, I don't think I picked it up anymore because I know, Andrea, you played it, and the feedback I was hearing from you and other players was like, yo, there's a bunch of issues. We don't have to go into those because we've talked about them extensively on this show. But I had always been waiting to hop back in and play it. But from what I've been hearing is just kind of more or less what Parker has just said, is people are bummed about it. They're not surprised about it. And they understand that would have been a really long road ahead. And it sounds like there were some really nice parts of Anthem, especially when it came to some of the characters that maybe they improved their interaction and their personalities or whatever. There's some good characters in there. But yeah, it sounds like that just ain't happening anymore. And that's a bummer. But alas,
Poor
it's just
York.
Crazy. I just remember being in that press demo, and I think I was with you, Andrea. And
yeah, we were all together.
Oh, you were there too. Sorry, Summer.
Hi. Yeah.
You were just so quiet and beautiful. You just faded into the distance. Okay, I'm done. Yeah. This is called, ladies and gentlemen, digging yourself into a hole, and I'm at the point where I can't possibly dig myself out of it, so I'm just gonna move on. But I remember how excited they were talking about. I don't even remember what it was. What was that main force? The thing you can't see. The evil thing.
The Anthem.
Oh, that was it.
It's called the Anthem.
Well, shit. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the Anthem of creation.
Okay.
Are you talking about like the gods or whatever that left and they weren't sure? I don't remember what those were called either. They were basically gods. I don't think they were.
It was like the
gods,
invisible force, and I guess that was the Anthem of creation, perhaps.
The force.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot to really be excited about narratively. Like, there was a lot for them to explore, and I think that it's a bummer that all of the work into that game is now, you know, kind of being shelved. I'm hoping that they're going to take some of the gameplay elements, the javelins being one of the best parts of that game.
That's the one part I'm bummed about. I'm like, I remember at that demo I'm being like, I don't know what you're talking about with the story, or like if the story's going to be any good. But like, it's so fun zipping around as little basically little Iron Mans. And I was like, this is really fun and I want to do this. And even when we played together, I'm like, the gameplay of this is solid. The rest, obviously, yes, the rest of the structure and the loop needed a lot of work. Like, they just kind of whiffed it in that element.
But what if there's a wonderful world where these javelins technology, obviously called something different, shows up in the next Mass Effect game?
I mean, I don't even think it needs to be I mean, it definitely could. Honestly, the mechanics that they've used for building that could be used in either game, right? Like, magic, whatever. I'm magic in Dragon Age. Red lyrium is making me fly. Cool. Like, just like, whatever. Retcon it. It doesn't matter. And then, yeah, to your point, Mass Effect is super space. Like, hello. It could definitely fit there, too. They already have jetpacks and shit. Like, just...
Yeah.
There, and after whatever X amount of years, they would have been improved, right? So it would make sense that they could be as good as the javelins were.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see it. I do also want to mention in Christian's message, he Also talks about how they're still providing updates to Star Wars: The Old Republic. So something I forgot when I'm talking about BioWare's overall projects. But I think the more exciting news, kind of buried in here underneath the sad news of Anthem going away, is the next story we have about EA and BioWare, about this whole idea of multiplayer modes being baked in to BioWare's games and how that's suddenly not a thing anymore.
Thank you, Star Wars. Fallen Order. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is an update from Bloomberg. I saw Jason Schreier tweeting about this earlier today. So this comes, like I mentioned, from Bloomberg. Electronic Arts has made a major pivot on the next game in the popular Dragon Age series, allowing developers to remove all planned multiplayer components in the game, according to people familiar with the matter. The next Dragon Age had previously been designed with a heavy multiplayer component. In recent months, it transformed into a single-player-only game after EA was stung by a recent multiplayer flop. We were just talking about that. The diverging trajectories of two recent games changed the minds of Andrew Wilson, who is the CEO of EA. One, of course, being Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn Entertainment, a single-player game released back in November of 2019 that not only won critical acclaim, I loved that game personally, it outperformed EA's sales expectations, which really only matters to Andrew Wilson, reaching more than 10 million players in the first 4 months.
Well, and it also matters to BioWare fans, apparently, because that was what made him be like, okay, I guess we can make a single-player game. This makes me like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order more. See? I thought the game was fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was like whatever. But now I'm like, you know what? I have more appreciation for you and what you've done for the service of all gamers. Thank you. Good night.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I really enjoyed that game. I thought it was really well done. And I'm glad that that game was able to demonstrate to EA executives, hey, single player games sell a lot of copies. I mean, look at The Last of Us Part 2, right? Like that game was huge. And so was Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales, both single-player games. You know, I just think that it was really frustrating for a lot of us fans looking at multiple franchise under EA's banner, saying, why does it feel like you're forcing like the round peg into the square hole, right?
Because it makes us money. So much pretty money.
So much
All I want is another house in the Bahamas.
Bahamas. That's fine.
Please
That's your
make
answer
me
to
more
everything.
money. My name is Andrew Wilson, and all I want to do is sit on a pile of gold.
Gold.
Like, what if that's like his whole goal in life? It's just like, I
need
want a Scrooge McDuck at one point. I just want a pool full of gold coins.
He could have that now.
He
He's
could.
made enough money.
You know what?
EA
People
that
are
he could make
fucking
his own
greedy.
gold
Do
coin
not
kit.
underestimate the greed of people.
Yeah.
It's a deadly sin for a reason.
He might only have enough gold, Andrea, for a small den. Perhaps he wants to fill his living room with gold.
Yeah.
You know, like you got a small den with gold. Yeah,
it's like a kiddie pool size. Like, well, maybe like a medium pool size.
And
but
Scrooge
he wasn't
McDuck
Olympic
had a
size.
fucking gymnasium. So
Wait,
That's
like,
true.
gymnasium?
Scrooge McDuck.
Oh yeah. His was like full on Olympic size.
Yeah.
Swimming pool.
He would totally die though if he jumped into all that gold.
Oh yeah,
like,
it would not.
Oh yeah, you would.
You
Like,
wouldn't.
break
First of
your
all, you
face.
wouldn't like swim through it like that. But
No.
No, it has to be like fake gold, like chocolate gold
What if-
coins.
ew, that would all melt
Ooh.
all over you.
At least he wouldn't
foil.
die. That'd be a
foil
good way
does
to
not
go.
contain the chocolate.
It does not. You are correct. It does not contain the chocolate. The chocolate kind of oozes out.
Yes,
It's
it gets everywhere
sloughs
when
out
it's
of
really
there.
melty. Anyway, point being, multiplayer makes a lot of money. That's definitely the card EA was banking on. Similar to how Activision is like, we just run these franchises into the ground and that's how we make a lot of money. EA's MO was, we're going to put a multiplayer in everything and we're going to fucking charge you for card packs and you're going to like it.
I don't know. Call of Duty's kind of the best it's been in a while, though. So I don't know if they're running it into the ground.
I mean, but
Conversation
you know
for
what I
another
mean?
time.
It's not necessarily, but it's like you're going to keep grinding it out. Yeah,
Yes.
they did it. The one good move they did do is like, okay, we're adding even more studios to this and we're making sure people have more time to develop. But that was the only really awarded to Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I do want to mention in the article on Bloomberg, there are more details about Andrew Wilson's vision and how he was quoted in a GamesIndustry.biz article from a few years back saying that multiplayer was foundational to EA's future, and that's why it felt like it was really being shoehorned into so many games that maybe didn't feel like it needed to be in. I think overall we can celebrate the fact that this is great news for Dragon Age, and that I'm very excited that they're able to make it a single-player RPG coming from BioWare's pedigree that we know and love. This is clearly why the game has been, I don't want to say delayed, right? Because we never got an announcement about when it was coming out, but I think all expected to see a little bit more by now.
A bit tumultuous.
A little bit more. Yeah. In the previous Bloomberg articles, or maybe it was when Jason was actually still at Kotaku. Anyway, it looks like dev started on this in 2015. And then in 2017, when it was trying to be essentially Anthem with Dragons, you know, if you're going to believe
Anthem with Dragons.
Anthem with Dragons, what some people close to the project have said, it led to this idea of Dragon Age is going to be built for long-term monetization, which led to the departure of creative director Mike Laidlaw, which is a bummer. And so I'm happy they came around.
Get Mike back. Just kidding. He's got a new job.
But Martin Darrow left too, right?
Yeah,
so.
he did.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm saying, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm sure Dragon Age can still be fantastic, but it's just too bad that it had to go through so many ups and downs. And then some of the brilliant minds behind it did have to leave. But at least, you know, like y'all are saying, at least they got there in the end. And maybe, you know, single player games. What's that thing? Everyone's single player games are dying. All the people with the pitchforks and the torches out there that wave. Oh, they've been saying that for a long time.
They're wrong, but they've been saying it.
I agree. They're wrong. Yeah. Eat shorts.
I don't listen to those people, so I don't hear them.
They're like Fortnite or death. Single player games suck.
Porque no los dos. You can have both. Exactly. It's fine.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yay.
100% agree.
I do feel like poor BioWare at this point, like they just need to be like, you know what? The entire studio gets at least a month off. Everyone just fucking chill at home. Do not look at work. We need a mental reset on everything because the amount of changes and ups and downs that I feel like the people at that studio have been on has got to be so difficult. And especially, again, during a pandemic still, like, work is just hard in general, let alone with one of the things you're working on getting scrapped, another one taking once more another creative turn. Like, everyone there just needs like a chill out moment. I hope that they give that to them.
It'd be nice.
Amen. We're rooting for you, BioWare. We're rooting for you.
Yes.
Speaking of things we're rooting for.
Oh, girl.
And also speaking of BioWare, continuing on the BioWare train, we have a couple more pieces of news. This one is not really news so much as it is speculation about potential news and a potential BioWare project. So we mentioned briefly about Henry Cavill. You may know him as Superman. Maybe you know him as Shotgun Arms. Or maybe you know him as The Witcher.
Shotgun Arms. Is that what it's called?
It's from Mission Impossible. His character in Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah, no, he like loads his arms or something.
Yeah, he loads his arms.
I just didn't know it'd be like a shotgun load.
I mean, because they're so beefy, you know? Like, what other kind of a gun would it be? I don't know.
I have no idea. You're correct.
Anyway, he's an actor who is a well-known nerd. We talked about how he posted about building a PC before. He was painting minifigs, like Warhammer minifigs, like over the Christmas break or something. And he's a big gamer, and he was teasing on Instagram. Let me show you guys the post here.
A beautiful bottle of liquor.
Yes, there is a bottle of alcohol there. And in this shot on Instagram, he's clearly in hair and makeup for The Witcher, and he's holding a stack of papers that have been blurred out.
Poorly.
But the blur is not that obvious.
Enhance it.
That's what the internet did. The internet enhanced using a piece of software called Focus Magic, and they discovered that there are words on that page that look very much like Mass Effect 3's Wikipedia page. Henry Cavill's caption on the Instagram photo was "secret project?" or just a handful of papers with random words on it. Guess you'll have to wait and see. Happy hump day.
I'm like, I was massively irritated at this.
Oh, okay. Go tell.
I don't know why, but I was just like, I kind of just wanted to be like, fuck you, like a little bit. You're sitting out here like secret project, or just like, it's clearly not a bunch of random words. These are real words. We all know these words. And either this is a project and it will see the light of day, or it won't. And you just made this shitty post on Instagram for all of us to get our panties in a twist about, and it will never happen. And so, like, that's why I'm... And everyone was like, oh my God, Henry Cavill. We love Henry Cavill. And I was like, he's an asshole.
Here's a pro tip for anyone
Okay.
who wants to
I'm
be
just
friends
kidding.
with
He's not an
Steimer.
asshole. I'm sure he's lovely.
Pro tip for anyone who wants to be friends with Steimer. Don't be cheeky. Don't beat around the bush. Just fucking tell her how it is and tell her straight. She doesn't want to be fucked with. So look at this little cute thing. Henry Cavill thought he was being cute, thought he was teasing, getting Andrea and I are all excited. Steimer's like, no, fuck you. I'm never going to be your friend now because you might have gotten me excited for nothing.
Henry Cavill comes to my door. Is like, would you like to be friends? We can paint minifigs together. I'd be like, is there a Mass Effect project or not? If you tell me yes or no, then you can come in the door.
You know you would be like, please come in, sir.
That's literally.
We have schemes to set you up with Henry Cavill.
Yeah, look how well those worked out.
Oh my God. But real talk, like, what do you two think this could be?
I honestly have no idea. It's so
Yeah.
tough because he clearly didn't try to blur out the words that much, right? So
Right.
like he wanted people to find out. And I am hoping that it's not a VO project because I said what a waste of such a face for a VO project.
Ooh, I
God
like
damn.
that.
I mean, he's got a great freaking face, okay? Like he's got inhuman bone structure, all right? We could all,
Maybe he's a
be so
Geth.
lucky.
Oh no.
If they put him in a mask the whole time, that would be hilarious.
Wait, no, he could be like,
He'd be like Dolly, just in a mask the whole time.
it's like, hey, what up?
That would be really funny. I would love to see him as Commander Shepard. I think he would be a great Commander Shepard. I don't know what he would be a Commander Shepard in. There's talk of, maybe it's a TV project. We haven't heard anything from that defunct Mass Effect movie in years. I think 2013.
Yeah, it could be
was
resurrected.
the last time
God.
we heard an update from that movie. I just assumed that it was dead in the water and that I don't even remember who still has the rights, whether it's Legendary or it's Universal. But I mean, that's just been like off the books for a long time. But if they're going to revive that, that would be awesome. Maybe he's just going to be in a live action commercial. People were speculating for either the Legendary Edition or for, the future Mass Effect game. But
He would
future
not. It
Mass
would not
Effect
be the
feels
future Mass Effect. I
really
don't think
far
it'd be a
off.
future Mass Effect game. Also because of like the stuff he was reading or the stuff on that page is all about things that are
in Mass Effect
done and
3.
dusted, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're depending on what you did, are either relevant or not.
Yeah.
And also, like, Quarians don't live that long, so she's super dead. Like, she's super, super, super dead. if like Liara's around, maybe some other Krogan. That's it.
Right, but if he got a packet of information that includes background on the franchise.
True.
And they
Right.
just like pulled together Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3's Wikipedia pages and put them in a binder for him. And they were like,
I would
hey,
just
while
be
you're
like,
sitting in the makeup chair, why
you
don't
like
you
video
read
games?
these?
Here's the soon to be released enhanced edition of all of the
Yeah.
games. Please play.
Yeah. So I don't know. It could also mean nothing. It could literally be nothing and he could just be toying with us.
That's
That'd
what
be
annoys me.
awful.
I don't like that. Disapprove.
Yeah. But
Man.
Don't you toy with me. Not about Mass Effect. You've won points being a good Geralt, but I swear to fucking God, if this is just some bullshit.
but
Henry
imagine
Cavill?
him as Commander Shepard and they bring back Yvonne as Miranda.
That would be a very good looking couple, I will say.
Oh.
Dude, I'm here for
Oh.
that.
All I'm saying is Henry Cavill can do whatever he wants, and I will always forgive him. I mean, you know what I mean? With a face
Well,
like that. I'm
Within
saying-
reason. Within reason.
Within reason, obviously.
Don't
like,
turn
there's
out to
just
be a
terrible, awful
scumbag,
things.
Henry. Be
Okay,
a good
right.
one, okay?
Well,
no
I was-
scumbags.
I was doing the thing Steimer doesn't like him being cheeky, but yes. I agree.
I don't mind a little cheek, to be clear.
Just a tiny bit of cheek. Well, there's definitely zero cheek in this last bit of news in our news segment for the show. I just am feeling so bad now for the team at CD Projekt Red. So Cyberpunk's 2077's 1.2 patch has been delayed.
Oofa doofa.
And the reason it's been delayed via Cyberpunk's Twitter, well, we dearly wanted to deliver patch 1.2 for Cyberpunk 2077 in the time span we detailed previously. The recent cyber attack on the studio's IT infrastructure and extensive scope of the update means this unfortunately will not happen. We need some additional time. Our goal for the patch 1.2 goes beyond any of our previous updates. We've been working on numerous overall quality improvements and fixes, and we still have work to do to make sure that's what you get. With that in mind, we're now aiming for a release in the second half of March, March. It's not the news we enjoy sharing, but we want to make sure we launch this update properly. Stay tuned for more information as the time draws closer. Thank you for continued patience and support.
Just never say a date. Just don't say dates anymore, because you clearly can't hit them for one reason or another. It's sometimes not your fault, and sometimes is your fault.
It is.
Yes. You took the words right out of my mouth and put it into wonderful song form. Like that's it. Like I said this when I was on KFGD earlier this week. I said, here's the thing. The people that are sticking by you are clearly going to stick by you. And if you're mad about it, they've been over or
There's
bending
plenty
over
of other
backwards to
things
give
to
you
be
a
mad about.
refund. Right? So like get your refund. Don't be mad about it or keep being patient. Those are the two camps you can be in right now. Correct. And like I just feel for the devs on that team who asked for none of this, who are just trying to do their job, just trying to make their game, get the patches out, and who have been overworked for literally months, if not years at this point. And they just keep getting kicked while they're down. And I feel bad for them. And I'm hoping that they can come out the other side of this and get more than just a single month off. I feel like this poor team needs some substantial time away from the studio to like recover from all of this trauma that they're going through.
They all need a little bit of therapy.
Yes, something.
I'd probably say with Bart, be like, look, you all get a month off, and then you get every day you can have a therapy session.
Yeah, just work it out
just
and then
figure it out.
Hopefully,
we're really sorry we did this.
Come back to video games. But obviously, bad news. But I wasn't planning to play until the PS5 version is out anyway. So
I'm done with this game. So
yeah,
you take as much time as you need.
That's right.
Just stop putting dates on your stuff.
Just be like, it will be done when it's done. We'll tell you when it's done, and when it's done, it means like it's gold and ready to ship.
Yep, exactly. And at this point, take your time. Don't push out the patches that ain't ready. It's already broken.
Like you pushing out an even more broken patch is not helping the situation.
No.
It's like putting on a crusty Band-Aid or something on a wound.
Ew. But yeah, that's a good analogy.
Ew, David.
Crusty Band-Aid.
God, I cannot stop watching Schitt's Creek, but that's another topic for another day.
Or don't, because it's lovely. Oh my goodness. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we normally would do another break here, but what we're going to do instead is just pivot over to what we've been playing. But before we do that, I want to let you know that this episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by Fixture Gaming. The Fixture S1 was created by gamers for gamers who love the Nintendo Switch and their Pro Controller just like I do. But of course, you want to be able to play it on the go. And let's be honest, using the kickstand can get annoying, right guys? The Fixture S1 is an original patented design that connects the Nintendo Switch to the Pro Controller for comfortable, precise, portable play, offering a great alternative to using your Joy-Cons. The Fixture S1 is designed to be exceptionally ergonomic, balancing the screen weight directly over your hands, reducing screen rotation, and minimizing the strain on your wrists. Fixture S1's patented two-axis design allows you to smoothly and easily adjust the angle and the height of your Switch while providing stability and balance in any playing position for ultimate comfort and gaming performance. So let me tell you, I love this thing. You guys can see mine here if you are watching at youtube.com/whatsgoodgames. And it's just so easy to use. Your Switch just slides right on there. And it's just so easy to adjust. I love using this on the couch while I'm sitting next to my husband and he's watching TV. I love using it while I'm outside because what's great about it is that it gives you that control of the Pro Controller when you're playing a tough game, maybe like Hades or one of my favorite games on the Switch, the Celeste. Those games that require a little bit more control than you're going to get with those little Joy-Cons. Also, Joy-Con drift is real. Anywho, I love this thing. It's great. You can snap your Pro Controller into the Fixture S1 for handheld play, or you can just use it as a stand in tabletop modes. You can just take your controller out and just put it on a table if you're playing a co-op game, for example. The S1 is carefully designed specifically for the Nintendo Switch and then the official Nintendo Pro Controller, and it's ready to use right out of the box. The mount engages with slide-in sides of the Switch, and it snaps securely around the Pro Controller, holding both firmly in place even when upside down or shaken. I mean, I'm literally shaking this thing on camera and it's going nowhere.
Don't shake the baby.
my baby Switch. If you guys are interested in getting your own Fixture S1, you can head on over to Amazon, their Amazon store for Fixture Gaming, using the link in our show notes to order your Fixture S1 today. You can also order it at fixturegaming.com and use promo code WGG at checkout for $5 off. So it's up to you if you want to go to fixturegaming.com and use that promo code WGG at checkout for $5 off, or you can head to their Amazon shop. You know, we're all Prime users these days, aren't we? And you can buy your Fixture S1 there, but I really love this little guy, so highly recommend. And thank you to Fixture Gaming for sponsoring What's Good Games. To start out our hands-on segment, Brittany, you have been playing a game that we saw a little bit of in the Nintendo Direct last week, Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection.
Yeah, I apparently wanted to punish myself.
Oh dear.
Yeah, this
game
is like
is
an
so
old
hard.
school, super hard game, right?
Exactly. So thank you, Capcom, for the review code for this. So this game comes out February 25th for $29.99.
That's today.
That's right now, which is Thursday, the 25th. So I haven't played the original Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts, but my understanding of this game is that it's a retelling of both of them, and it merges certain elements and introduces like new mechanics and whatnot. So it's not like a remake of one or the other. And so you play as Arthur, a brave knight, and his health is reflected by the amount of armor you lose after you get hit. So if you get hit, he loses armor until he's in nothing but his little strawberry boxers. I'm sure, like, you know, if you Google Arthur Strawberry Boxers, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's kind of been like an iconic. Yeah, there he is right there.
I'm a strawberry.
Yeah, like a little iconic little character there. And like Andrew was saying earlier, this game is just known for being like one of the most hardcore of the hardcore games. It's notorious for just being difficult, especially back in the day. And if you could finish this game, you were considered just like the ultimate stud muffin or stud muffinette, because damn, you got some real talent. So I admittedly, like, these are not my kind of games. I think Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts is on SNES Online right now. And I did give that a shot for a little bit, and I noped right out of there because I was like, oh no, I can't do this. But because this game does have different difficulty modes and it does have co-op now, I thought, you know, I'll get my husband to play with me. And if I get really mad, I can just blame all the death on him. So this game has 7 levels in total, and I would say maybe that comes out to 5 to 7 hours of gameplay. And after you finish it the first time, the levels will get what's called will become shadow stages, and it kind of get revamped. There'll be new puzzles, new enemies, etc. So there's a lot of replayability there. And like I said, there are 4 difficulty modes. There's Legend, which is like the most hardcore, where you get hit once and then like you're done. And each level does have checkpoints in between, thank God. So if you get to a certain point and you die, you can just start right back at that checkpoint. But as you go to the easier difficulties, there's a lot more checkpoints. So if you're going to do Legend, you're not going to get as many. There's Night mode, which isn't as hardcore as Legend. And then there's Squire, which is an easier mode, which is what Jason and I played on. And then there's Page mode, which I think is what I'm going to switch to tonight when we try playing this game again. Basically, you're immortal. You can't die.
Does that mean you don't ever get to see the strawberry boxers?
You know, it might. That's probably what it would mean. And that would be a very big disappointment.
That would be
Because there's
sad.
nothing quite like a knight running around in strawberry boxers.
I know.
But we haven't tried that mode just yet, but I think I'm going to have to. And so my understanding with Page mode is that you will still like take damage and you'll die, but you'll just immediately spawn right back to where you were. You won't have to go back to a checkpoint. There's also something called Magic Metronome, which is available for the Squire and Page difficulty, which lets you actually slow down time, which has been very useful in some of these boss fights because holy shit. And then there's actually another mode that lets you speed up time, which I don't know why you would want to do that to yourself. I don't know who gets off and playing this game on the hardest difficulty with sped up time, but if you're out there, and I know you are, you're in for a rough chuckly time. So like you basically go from left to right. It's just a side scroller, and you collect different weapons along the way. There are these things called, and I'm pretty sure this is new, umbral bees, and you collect them. And then there's a skill tree you can use to unlock certain magic, like I have it right here. It's called the Transmographrog, and it turns enemies into frogs.
Is it an actual frog?
Yes.
Yeah, a big frog that turns people into frogs.
All the enemies on screen. It like appears out of the background, and then it goes, bleh, and then all the enemies turn into frogs.
It doesn't go ribbit. It goes bleh.
Yeah, it goes bleh. It's like a demonic evil frog, but it does a really good
Oh.
job at turning your enemies into frogs.
You
There's
know
like
what? Thanks,
Medusa, which
evil
turns them into
demonic frog.
stone. I know, it's really nice. I always spam it, and I don't think Jason appreciates it very
Frog,
much.
frog, you become a frog, and you become a frog.
But you can't really spam it, though. Actually, I should elaborate on that because there's even like a casting time.
I would assume,
So
yeah.
yeah, and so there's a little casting time. So you're like walking around and you're just being swarmed to everything. You have to make sure you have enough time to even get the spell off, because if you get hit, it gets interrupted, and then there's a cooldown after that. So you can't really spam, but it is my favorite one to use. But the other main component about this game that drew me to it was the co-op aspect. So you have these three. They're being described as ancestral ghosts to Arthur, who is the knight. And they're called the three wise guys. And the second player can swap between them with a press of a button. And each one has a different skill that they can use to assist the first player. These ghosts can take damage. And if you do take too much damage, you have to spawn again. There's maybe like a 5 to 10 second cooldown. It's nothing too terrible. But some of the skills are, one of them creates like a bubble around Arthur, a little protective bubble. The other one can actually carry Arthur, which is really helpful if you're doing like some really tricky platforming. And then the other one can create like a platform for Arthur himself. So if there's like a tricky jump you have to make, you can just say like, fuck it, have the ghosts create you a line. You can just use that to get to where you have to go. But I'm on the fence whether or not I'm actually having a good time with this. It's not because of any flaw of the game itself. This game is supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be hard, but it's just, you can tell it was designed trial by error and trial by death, or learning by death.
Learn by death, yeah.
Yeah, because the enemies are placed in such a way where you can practically just like hear the devs laughing at you every time you die. Or you'll get to like a really close to the next checkpoint, and then they're going to put like a random spike in there that's going to pop out and kill you instantly. That there's no way you would have known that was there otherwise until you found out it was there by dying from it. So I'm kind of like
a little sadistic on
100%. Yeah, like if you like to be punished, like this is absolutely a game you should 100%
sadists
play.
made a game for masochists, this is what you get.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that the way Arthur moves is so painful because he just slugs around. Like he's like moving his arm. It's like you're in a dream,
He's
where
like
you can't
quapping
run. Yeah. It's like, those dreams or nightmares where you can't run either. Like you can only move in slow motion. It's kind of how
I've had those. No.
You haven't?
No.
Andrea, have you had that kind of dream before?
I have never had a dream where I could only move in slow motion. No.
Oh, man. Maybe too many zombie films for me, but
yes, that seems on brand for you.
So like when he runs, you can tell like his little arms are just swinging so hard, but he just moves so slow, and
he's really like trying to make it a full body exercise.
Yeah,
right. He's like, you gotta use your upper body.
Which, like, hey, he's a knight. I'm sure he's in tip-top shape. Like, good for him. Like, good for you. But he just jumps, like, terribly. And I guess it's a nostalgic feel that they're going for. And again, I think it's all intentional. But it's just the kind of game where you can't hold still. You'll get swarmed. You will die many, many times. And even if you're on some of the lowest difficulty, it's still just, like, ruthless. So
this was designed to be a quarter eater, though, right?
Yeah, I'm sure back in the day it was.
I
don't really know the history of this game, like in the arcade sense. But yeah, if it came to arcades, then like absolutely, that's what Jason and I were telling ourselves. And like you're timed on the levels, but the timing has never really been an issue. But yeah, I mean, like I would say, if you were a fan of the old Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts, like you will love this. If you like to be punished, if you like to die a lot, if you like to master each level.
We aren't going to kink shame you. That's your own thing.
We're not going to kink shame you. It's fun to play with someone else, but then you do get frustrated. I did find, though, because I played Arthur primarily, that switching to the three wise men kind of takes a load off, and you can kind of just be there to assist. And you can still do damage as a ghost, too, as you have your little special attacks you can do, but it's not as stressful to play as them. So
that was my ghost attack.
Oh, is that what you're doing, like, your little zombie?
If you're just listening, I'm just flinging my arms in a sporadic
You're
manner.
A very intimidating ghost timer. I would be very scared if I saw you. If I saw you in my mirror at night, I would be very terrified.
Hi, Brittany.
That would be actually pretty awesome. But anyway, yeah, all I can say about it is, despite me being someone who does not like difficult games whatsoever, I have been able to derive some pleasure from this game. It has been kind of fun to like get good and learn the patterns and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely not a baby's game. Baby ass baby mode still isn't very baby.
A literal baby cannot play this. It would just
it's
be
just
too hard.
punishing. It's just punishing in every way. Yeah. It'll just spank you.
Need a bit of dexterity.
Yeah, this definitely it's like that era of games. I mean, obviously it started in arcades, but went to console. But it's just from that era of the 80s and early 90s where games were just brutally punishing because it was super skill based, and some people just love that nostalgia, and I am just not one of those people. I'm like, this is just not for me. It feels exclusionary in a way, but I get that the pride of people and the joy for some people is that sense of accomplishment of overcoming something that's really tough, that's skill-based. But I'm just like, I ain't got time to be frustrated.
Like, y'all go ahead.
I'm good.
I'm good. And I'm kind of curious to know if even playing on page, which gives you the immortality, would even be a fun experience, because there is that sense of when you finish a boss or finish a level of like, holy shit, I did that. Like, let's see what's next. But other than that, like as a platformer itself, like it's not great. Like, and it's not meant to be an awesome platformer. I think it's more meant to be like a brutal torture device. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see after I play it on page if it's still like fun, because even though I get very frustrated, you do feel like a badass when you finish a boss, even if it is on square level. But we'll see. Anyhow, yeah, like I said, if you're nostalgic, you'll love it. If you're like, fuck that shit, go play like Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons or something.
Yeah. Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. Yeah.
Plenty of other options.
Or if you want, you can also download the Outriders demo, which is what I tried earlier today. So there's a stream of me playing like the first 90 minutes of the demo at twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames. And I fully intend to play more of it, and I'm excited about that. So Steimer and I, and Britt, very briefly, got the opportunity to play this together.
I tried. I really tried.
You did. So I played this originally with Alana Pierce and Andy Cortez at the very first preview event I went to, and then Steimer and I played it. And it was fun both times, and the game is still fun. The thing that I was really impressed by in the demo that I saw that I played on PS5 was that the game looks great. So in the last demo that Steimer and I did in a virtual preview event, the graphics of the game looked a little rough, and the dev team clearly had some work to do, but they delayed the game, and clearly that delayed time helped them. The polish looks much better now. Obviously, this is still a demo. The game is coming out April 1st. What I love, though, is that it's coming out for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, Series S, Steam, Epic Games Store, GeForce Now, and Stadia.
God. Good Lord.
Basically, you can play this everywhere except Nintendo Switch.
And your fridge.
And your fridge for now.
Oh,
anyway.
True.
Who knows if it's popular? Maybe you can play more places. I doubt this game will be that game, but what's cool about it is that they are kind of mashing up a bunch of different genres like we've talked about before. What I liked about what I saw in the demo is that they give you the prologue, they give you the customization, character creator, and then they give you the opportunity once you go through that all, if you're like, hey, I want to actually try one of the other classes, that you can skip the entire prologue and go right to the place where you pick a different class. So you can try out the other classes without having to redo the entire demo. And if you want, you can take your demo progress and carry it onto the game once you buy the game and it launches on April 1st, which I love that. I love giving people something where they don't have to start completely over if they don't want to, but you can, of course, if you do. You can play online with friends in the demo. There's no time limit. You can explore 4 different side quests, and I believe you can go up to level 7 in the game. And so the demo seems pretty beefy. It's a lot of the levels that Steimer and I played in our gameplay previews. Steimer popped into the chat for just a few minutes at the end of my playthrough on Twitch. Was like, hey, this looks familiar. And I was like, that's because we played this.
Yeah.
But it definitely felt really intense playing it solo. It clearly is designed as a squad game, as a co-op game. You can obviously play it solo. There's some public matchmaking in specific types of missions that you can do. But, I mean, the whole idea of this game, of course, is to buddy up with some friends and play it together and kind of use your powers as... What are they called again? Augmented? No.
I don't remember.
Altered. That's the word.
The other A.
Yeah, started with an A. And so I think it looks cool. I'm excited to check it out, to see what the gear is going to look like. I want to see what the high-end gear is going to look like. Obviously, this is just a demo. But I think it's a great way for people to test the game out and try before you buy. And I'm glad that demos are making a resurgence and making a comeback. So if you guys are into third-person shooters and you like the movement style of Gears of War and you like some of the more RPG elemental elements that we saw in Anthem and some of the gear systems that we saw in a game like The Division, you like that kind of shooter, then I recommend you download it for free and check it out.
All right. That comes out April 1st?
April 1st. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm definitely looking forward to playing this game. I think it's gonna be really fun. Intense,
are you gonna play more of the demo and transfer your progress over, or do you think you're gonna say like, I'm good, I'll just play the full game when it gets closer?
I'm definitely gonna play more of the demo because some of the What's Good Guardians and agents of WGG have said that they're gonna play, and so I'd like to play with some people. I still have yet to play with a full squad of people, and I would like to try that out. And I definitely am having a good time with it, but I'm also having a really good time, surprisingly, with Call of Duty Cold War Zombies. So Black Ops
Ree
Cold
got
War,
you.
She got me. So last week on the show, Ree was talking about zombies, and after the show, I had messaged her and was like, okay, it sounds fun. Let's play. And then I streamed it on Thursday and had a good time. And then she and I paired up with Danny from Gamertag Radio and Khalif, who was also on the show last week, and we played a bunch over the weekend. I played for 6 hours straight with them on Saturday. And we got to level 35 and got to see the big zombie boss, and it was really fun. It was way more fun than I thought it was going to be, and I think it's just been so long since I've been back to Call of Duty Zombies because it felt like I had missed so much and like so many of the mechanics I didn't understand. But having friends walk me through it, I kind of picked it up right away, which was great. And they do Easter eggs and things so well in Zombies. And, you know, once you learn upgrade paths for the guns that you like and where you can buy them and how you can get scopes and things like that, it definitely felt like I was making a lot of progress. Like I went from... in a single session, I went from like level 20 to like level 37, which I thought was great. So I made a lot of progress and got a lot of unlocks. And I just like the kind of progression that they have in Zombies versus whereas in multiplayer, just it feels so repetitive and so punishing to just be dying all the time. And I like the cooperative squad-based element where you're like working towards a common goal, which you have in Zombies, and it takes elements of horde mode from Gears, which is one of my favorites, and combines it with the really slick shooting and movement that Call of Duty is known for. But it's not as tactical as Gears is. It's a lot more like you just gotta mow down a bunch of zombies. But there's still like there is some strategy to it, of course, like knowing when to spend your money on upgrades, which upgrades to buy, when to use these upgrades, etc., etc. But they just put out a brand new update this week for the game that introduces vehicles into the zombies mode, and I'm definitely...
Can you do donuts and run people over?
Yes, you can.
Fuck yeah, I will join you.
Important question.
Yes, and then I can ride on the back with a gun and just shoot the zombies.
100%. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
So is it as spooky as you thought it was? Because I remember you're like, it looks like it's too scary.
So
And
it's
then
not
they convinced you.
No.
scary now that I've played, but it is stressful.
Yes.
Because the zombies, like, and I made the mistake of playing, obviously, at night. We were playing very late into the night. And I just, like, I had to do a palate cleanse afterwards because I was in my headphones. I was wearing my Logitech G733s. Thank you, Logitech. And all I heard in my head afterwards with the zombie noises. just in the kitchen getting a snack, and I could just hear the zombie noises in my head, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna never.
What if I just follow you around your house and I'm like?
I would probably accidentally like end up physically assaulting you. Just saying.
Be like, ow, ow, ow.
But it was a lot of fun, but it is stressful because like when in the later stages, your guns get weaker. So they have this upgrade system, this pack-a-punch system it's called, where you can upgrade your guns and they pack a punch. But as you get later into the levels, it feels like even though your gun is really beefy in the beginning, like the zombies take more and more bullets as you get later into the levels.
Why do you get weaker as it goes on? Shouldn't you get stronger?
That's what my point was when we were playing. I was like, this feels unfair that not only are there like way more zombies, but now my bullets don't do as much damage. And you have to keep spending resources to
drink
upgrade.
Juice? What happened to them? Why are they so much stronger now? They're all doing roids?
This is a great question.
Are they doing roids? Is there like a pay to win mechanic tossed in there that they're trying to encourage you to do?
Not that I saw, no, because it's part of the paid.
They were just like, it's harder at the end.
Oh.
Period. End of sentence.
Yeah, essentially
Fair
that's
enough.
it. The idea, of course, is to encourage you to keep playing because each waves that you play, you earn permanent upgrade unlocks. So you can earn unlocks for your perks and for your skills, for your like overall metagame that you can then bring back in the next time you play, in addition to individual perks. So the way that it works in Zombies is that you have these sodas that you can drink and these pack-a-punch upgrades that you can do with your guns. But if you get downed in the game where you can be revived by a teammate, you'll lose your soda perks. So the soda perks are you can do a quick revive, you have more health, you heal faster, you run faster, etc., stuff like that. So you buy those with in-game currency that you earn, and then if you go down, you lose those perks. So you have to rebuy them. And the Pack-a-Punch is the same way. Like if you die in the game, if you go down, you keep your Pack-a-Punch, but if you die, and your teammate makes it to the end of the wave and you get revived, you've now lost all of the upgrades you've bought for your gun. And that hurts. So it really incentivizes you to not die, right? And to work with your teammates to make sure that your teammates don't die. Because then you all have to rebuy all of those upgrades again. And that's
or you just stop playing the game.
Well, that's no fun, Steimer.
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is. Anyway, you hooked me. I'm excited now to try out this new mode in Zombies with the vehicles. And Steimer said she'd play.
I just want to do donuts on their little faces.
Yeah, you can.
On their little faces.
You can do it on a snowmobile too.
Ooh.
Oh,
fancy.
snow donuts.
Snow zombies. Snobbies.
Instead of snow angels.
Snobbies.
Snobbies?
Snobbies? Yeah. Snobbies.
I don't know about that.
I don't know if that works. Anywho, that's what I've been up to. Steimer, have you been playing anything?
Nothing I can talk about. No.
Well, then I guess we'll wait to hear about what you're playing at a later date.
Yes.
Let's take our last break of the show. When we come back, we have our Patreon produced segment where we're going to be talking about RPG game elements that are completely outdated and should be tossed aside. What will we pick? Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the What's Good Games podcast. This is our third and final segment where we are going to be talking about RPG elements that should be kicked to the curb. But first, I want to tell you that this podcast is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonable recipes delivered right to your door. HelloFresh lets you skip those trips to the grocery store and makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and grocery store trips so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in about 30 minutes or less. HelloFresh offers 25 plus recipes each week, featuring a range of flavors, cuisines, and ingredients, so you'll never get bored. Eating healthier has never been easier with low-cal, carb-smart, vegetarian, and pescatarian options every week. And no matter what you choose, every single recipe is packed with fresh produce sourced directly from farmers. Cut down on grocery bills by saving up to 40% instead of shopping at your local store. And HelloFresh delivers pre-portioned ingredients, so you're not overbuying, which is a burden on the planet and your wallet. And I've done that many times. So we talk about HelloFresh quite often on this show, and I just made one last night, which was really good. It was like an Italian supper, family style, whatever. I don't even remember what the actual name of it was, but it was this lovely like cheese tortellini with these beef meatballs and garlic bread.
Good.
Oh,
garlic bread.
Oh, it was so delicious. And like, here's the thing is I can't cook for crap. Like, I admit it. But when I make HelloFresh, I make edible food. Otherwise, I'd be eating like boxed macaroni and cheese all the time. And let's be real, that's not healthy for me.
It's not healthy, but it's delicious. But I love that you said that because John has also been doing so much more cooking now that we've been getting our HelloFresh boxes for a few months. And I love that it's something that we could do together, and it really saves us a ton of money on ordering delivery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we do it together too, Jason and I, and it's a fun way to just kind of shoot the shit and come down from the day and be like, how's it going as you're chopping your onions? You know, family bonding is important. So you can go to hellofresh.com/whatsgood10 and use whatsgood10 for 10 free meals, including free shipping. Give America's #1 meal kit a try by going to hellofresh.com/whatsgood10 and use code whatsgood10 for 10 free meals, including free shipping.
This segment is something that we love doing every month. It is produced by our lovely patrons at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And this month, the topic is what RPG game elements are completely outdated and should be tossed to the side, courtesy of Andrew Courtney. This is a tough one, and we're going to jump into it. But first, of course, we need to read our wonderful patron names, legendary memberships, and above. So this is the time of the month, of course, where we,
butcher everyone's name. I want to go first because I like the name a lot.
Okay, you go first, and then I'll go, and then Brittany will go.
Great. Casual blasphemy.
Bernicia Cunningham.
Christina Azevedo.
Nick, 24.
Kate Ryder.
Stephen F. I almost said F. I'm sorry, that is not your middle initial. It's M. Schneider.
Omega Buster.
Jason Luck.
Dustin Toby.
DK, 2112.
Program Alice.
The Malas Cult.
The Supreme Commander of the Cyber Chihuahua Ninja Army.
Sean Smith.
Daniel Hull.
Bang Zoom Pow.
Alexander David.
Flying Cosmo.
Eric Z.
Ermagerd Arenda.
Carla Callahan.
Nathan Watkins.
Chewy's Godson.
Rob Kober.
Michaela Sage.
Mick, a.k.a. DaNanoBiologist Abrahamson.
Alex Golang.
Al Tribesman.
Tracy H.
Tony Shea.
Tara Bruno.
Brittany Heath.
Terrence Berry.
Sean I.
Justin Foss.
Brian R. Johnston.
Justin Foshee.
Jasmine Sins.
Patrick Landry.
Punkdefied.
Rob Leonard.
Jose Perez.
Melanthius Owens.
Professor Woke.
Ooh. Brian Harper.
Patrick Higgins.
Kenneth Stibble.
Zakashi Kiss.
Trent Pennington.
Emily Kent.
Roland Bala.
I'm Donovan.
E. Benjamin. Check this.
Faris, Andrew, how do I say it?
Attieh.
Attieh. So sorry, friend.
Gary Oxborough.
You're all good. Jessica Bloom.
Patrick Wella.
Zoltan 85.
It sounds like a villain name.
It's one of those old fortune teller machines.
Oh yeah, like from Big.
Oh yeah.
Matthew Goder.
Well, never ends.
Nailed it. Tyler McCall.
Devin Nitz.
Adriana Rock Williams.
Shy Jackson Burgess.
Mohammed Mohammed.
Chris Wilson.
Renee Burns.
Samantha Yvonne.
Giselle Pasa.
Andrew Susan.
Gary Peck.
Dale Sun.
Nambui.
Robert F. Fremering.
Marcus Ian Brown.
Pete Shoemaker.
Carl Peterson.
Joe Kennison.
Bill Stillwell.
Joe Tremonte.
Teresa Enat.
Jason Demers.
Alex Rigopulos.
Andrew Courtney.
Kia B.
David Icolucci.
Josh Leaf.
Christian Rodriguez. I fucked that up.
It's all good. Elbow Shell.
Good. Elizabeth Brooke.
Chio Corsi.
Malay Bittner.
Jared Howard.
Ozzy Mieja.
Nicole Humphrey.
Stephanie Fitzwilliam.
John Drake.
And Trevor Starkey. I love that we have so many more patron names now because so many of you have been supporting us at the divine level for that exclusive merchandise. I do want to let you know that if you had an issue getting your mug, I've had at least one person reach out and say, hey, my mug arrived broken. Please reach out to us at contact@whatsgoodgames.com and we will make sure a replacement gets shipped out to you. Sometimes these things happen. My mug arrived fine. Some of you have already sent us photos of you with your mugs. We love that. The really fun Among Us magnets are going to be going out in the next week or two. And we have some fun ideas for March's merch. So if you're interested, of course, patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. Now, RPG elements. I mean,
That needs to go. I've got one immediately.
go for it.
All right.
Oh, weight limit.
Yes, fucking encumbrance.
Yes.
Fuck you, encumbrance. It's not a necessary mechanic. All it does is make everything worse. I will slow walk my ass to the next town if I have to keep all my shit with me. I'm that much of a hoarder in video games. You best believe I'm just like, no, we're gonna make it there.
Preach it.
It'll take me
Preach
30
it.
minute, but we're gonna do it. And then
I want to pick up every wooden spoon.
Right?
I want to pick up every wooden bowl. I want to do all of the things. Let me hoard. Let me hoard. Let me hoard. Get rid
If
of
you
the
are
encumbrance.
putting that much crap in your game that I can pick up, you best let me pick it up. Just let me do it. Let me clean up the world. It's dirty. I am doing a service.
Let me clean up the world.
I mean, yeah.
It's like, let me break into your house and then take all the shit out of your house, and then you justify that as cleaning the world.
Okay,
I've been
one of
doing
my one of my favorite things about a lot of RPGs is the fact that you could just casually steal shit from people. And
I know.
it depends on the game, obviously. Some games
Right.
they do get mad, but a lot of not all of them do. So I actually really liked that about Cyberpunk, where you could just kind of just take shit. Like no one's mad
no
at
one
you for
gets
taking
mad.
shit.
It's like
I like
Assassin's Creed
Skyrim.
is that same way too. You can just loot everything right in front of people.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you just left
Yeah.
$500 here. That's
I'm just
mine
gonna
now.
take that
We'll just
now,
take it.
thanks.
Yeah, you chill. We good. We good. We good.
Yes. I'm
Mhm,
I
agreed.
get the idea of encumbrance and where it came from and its origin, and I know that there's been some arguments made for encumbrance as a game mechanic and forcing people to make choices, but video
In a
games are
survival game.
yeah, or they're powerful.
Okay.
now.
But yeah, in a survival game, sure. But an RPG game with you, Andrea, fuck off with that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I also am just again, you put all this crap in here. You allowed me to pick up 50 things in this room. You think I'm not going to pick them up? It says pick it up.
Yeah.
Why? Why would I not? I'm like fucking Alice in Wonderland. Eat this mushroom. Okay.
Agree. That's what I
just
love
do
in Yakuza Like a Dragon. They got rid of that because in the past, it was this thing where you had to just have a certain amount of slots. It was kind of like the Resident Evil. Andrew, you know what I'm talking about, where you just had a few little blocks where you could put in items, and then
Yeah, you go
and then have
Tetris
to go
it.
to- yeah, and then you have to go to a telephone booth and drop your shit off in the item box. I don't know how that makes sense, but that's what they did. And then in Yakuza Like a Dragon, they're like, nah, have as much tuna sandwiches as you want. We're not gonna bother
Yeah,
with
tuna
that.
sandwiches.
You know what? My pants are full of tuna sandwiches, and it doesn't matter.
What's that smell? It's the never mind.
I'm fighting 50 guys in the street with my pants full of tuna sandwiches, and I don't want to hear about it. This is a video game, and that's okay.
Amen.
Because he doesn't carry a backpack. They gotta be in his
Right.
pants.
That's an interesting point. That's definitely a topic for another time. Where do characters put all their shit? Literally.
They have
Just put it
Mary
behind
Poppins.
them. That's the thing every character
Yeah.
does. Are just
They're like Mary Poppins bag behind me just has everything
It's they have
here.
a reverse kangaroo pocket on their back, and they're just like. Put it back there.
That would be so useful. You're just I store all this shit in this invisible fanny pack behind me, and it has infinite supply room.
Yeah.
You just
It's always such a funny thing when your character in an RPG or any video game has a really large object, and it's just yoink,
It's like,
just in
whoop.
my invisible pocket. So
here's a
funny.
giant sword. Where did this come
You
from?
just-
I don't know.
It's like in Animal Crossing where you're like, let me just put this great white shark in my pocket.
That's the best. That's that is one of my favorite things about RPGs. Is ridiculous shit like that, where you're just massive thing, Ant-Man, squeeze it down, put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Put it in my
I'm-
back.
I'm so glad you started with encumbrance. I think it's one of those things that a lot of us as gamers hate. There are sadists out there who are like, I love encumbrance as a mechanic. It's challenging. I'm like, you have problems, but
Yeah,
that's okay.
I don't. I want to hoard, which is again not how I am in real life, but in a video game, I want to pick up all the crap.
You can live out your greatest fantasy in a video
Yeah.
game timer.
It's true.
Maybe you want to be a hoarder.
Secretly,
You
I
want-
do. It's when every time I call you a hoarder, Brittany, it's just out of jealousy.
Yeah, you're just projecting your frustrations out on me.
100%,
Exactly. Wait, I just
totally.
admitted I'm a hoarder. No, fuck you. I see what you did there. Go away. Go away. You're lucky you're in California.
She tricked you.
She got me, damn it. The one that I have, encumbrance was definitely up there. And this one can be done well, but I feel like it's really old and it needs to kind of go away. Is the idea of better weapons in the new towns that you get to. And, typically how it works is like, okay, you're in the starter area. You go to the item or the weapon shop. Okay, cool. Go to the store. You get like a wooden shield and a wooden sword. You go to the next place and then maybe you get like an iron shield or an iron sword. And it gets better and better progressively. I think that can be done like okay. But for example, I'm playing Trails of Cold Steel right now. And the problem is that money is very hard to come by. And every time you finish a new area, better weapons become available. And it's just like impossible to have enough money in order to buy those better weapons. And it's not like it's an enjoyable grind. It's like you'd have to spend hours and hours to get that weapon, to get those weapons and that better gear. I'd rather find better gear and weapons through just exploration or maybe through like drops from bosses or random enemies or something, rather than like knowing that I have to go to the next town to get something better. Or better yet, just give me like skill points that I can just allocate to my strength, my defense, etc.
Or both. You could do like, you could have, I don't mind it when like the town basically offers the fallback weapons. So if you've for some reason gotten fuck all the entire time, you like have something that's a little better there. But yeah, no, I'm totally with you that it feels a lot more fun to like have it as a random drop from a monster. But then you have the fallback if you need it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think like along those lines, it's always frustrating to me when I put so many hours into an RPG or a game with a progression loop, and then they give me like the really powerful, cool gear at the end. And I'm like, I've been playing this game for 100 hours. I'm not going to play it for another 100 hours. And you give me like the bitchin' armor at the very end of the game
they
to
do
do
that
like
a lot.
one fight with. And then I'm like, nah, I wish I could have got this earlier, right? Like, give me a reason to chase it. Like, don't just hand it to me, sure, right? I get that, you want to make players work for it. But then, like, make it a specific quest line. Like how in Horizon Zero Dawn to get the special...
The like battery armor, I forget what it's called.
The Weaver armor.
Yeah.
Like there was like a specific set of goals that you had to go do, but you could get it faster. Obviously, you had to progress to a certain point in the game.
Right.
But then you could have it for like the back third of the game if you chose to go chase that objective. And that to me was done really well. And so many games just don't do that. Like they just drop the really cool shit all the way at the end. And I'm like, now I'm done with this game though.
Not even like this isn't the best example, but Infamous Second Son, when they basically, I think they give you concrete or something. I think
oh my God, that was the worst.
The very end, like you have it for one fight. And I was just like, what?
Why?
Why did I do this?
They don't even give you time to learn how to use it.
They're like, you have zero familiarity with this power. By the way, here's somebody to fight. Use it.
Yeah. Agree.
Like, why?
Speaking of armor, the other thing, and I know some people love this, but I hate durability. I can't fucking stand it. Especially when all you have to do to fix it is buy an armor kit. To me, like that is just an annoying mechanic. And I think Divinity Original Sin does this, is you'll be in a fight and it's like, oh, your armor is getting weak, but all you have to do is go to a town and buy an armor repair kit and then fix it. It's like, well, what's the whole point of that?
Yeah, especially if the cost is low. If it's like,
if the cost is low. Yeah.
Then you're just like, I don't know why this is built in to begin with. Because there's one thing if you want there to be a consequence for you, like kind of whiffing your fights or face tanking a lot of things. But it just doesn't really work if there's not a lot of money or whatever, like something to work for there. But actually, before we dive a little more into this, I wanted to go back to the town thing for a second.
Okay.
The thing that bothers me most about each shop vendor having a different thing is like I hate having to go around and try and compare and contrast their store wares because I don't have fucking time for that. And I just want all of the stores to eventually, if I've hit that unlock where I can get a steal whatever, all of the vendors should now sell that. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Just be like, I don't need to fucking backtrack to wherever, because you have to sit there and be like, where was that again? I don't remember or whatever. Like a game did this recently. I don't remember. Oh, actually Cyberpunk. Like all the vendors have different shit and you're like, I don't remember which one of these places has the thing that I want. And it's frustrating to feel like I need to either go find a Wikipedia or I should have written all of this down in order to do it, instead of just being like, give me some sort of directive there. You can't even filter for it. So that was really, really irritating when I was playing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Durability. That's, oh God, I hate durability. Just if you're gonna give me a giant selection of weapons, why make them break? Let me just pick a different weapon to use.
That runs into our runner-up question here a little bit. For me specifically, this is what little detail in a game has made you put it down and never pick it up. And by DK2112, and for me that was weapon durability in Zelda. I was just like, like I played it for a while and I was just like, I can't fucking deal with all my shit's breaking. Like I can't deal with it.
It's like the tool durability in Animal Crossing, and I understand like in the beginning why it makes sense and like it encourages crafting and resource management, but once you get into end game, it's just annoying. And like even with the golden tools, like they break less, but they still break. I'm like, yo, I caught every motherfucking bug in this game, and you're gonna give me a golden net, and you're still gonna fucking make that thing break? Are you kidding me? I catch every goddamn fish to get the golden fishing rod, and you're gonna make it break? What's that shit about?
Yeah, that's crazy. Like those ones should just not break. Those should be the only unbreakable tools in the game.
Yeah.
And it would make sense. You worked really hard
right
to get it. It's not like you just got it, okay, whatever. Like the store eventually sells the golden
right
thing. Like no.
Or it like dropped from a balloon or something. It's like, no, you had to earn that shit.
Yeah.
That was a lot of time. That was a lot of like waiting late nights for that freaking golden dung beetle to show up or whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh my god.
Like listen, I have issues with the weapons. But no, that was a good one, Brittany, for sure. I think that, weapon durability is something a lot of people are really pissed about.
Weapon or armor, yeah. I mean, I didn't mind it like so for MMOs and stuff, even though it was kind of what you were talking about where it's usually not that expensive. It would get more expensive if your stuff was really really bad. So like if you went if you like kept up with your armor maintenance, then it was fairly cheap. But if you, for whatever reason, were like, nah, screw it, I'm going to wait till my shit actually breaks, then it was really expensive to repair. And I was like, that feels fine to me because it should be if you're like...
Or just more punitive.
Yeah. But I mean, also, I don't know. For some reason in an MMO, I was like, it's fine. You have to like, you need ways and levers to manage the economy there. So
yeah,
sure.
That's true. Another thing in RPGs that I would like to see go away is making people discover recipes. I have
But I like that sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah, because I'm like, ooh, I'll put these things together. What will it make?
See,
I had a fun time with that like on Spiritfarer. I was just like, I'm going to put this shit in the oven. We're going to see what we get.
See,
so is that what you're talking about, Andrea? When you just combine random things, trial and error?
Yeah, I feel like the era of internet walkthroughs and wikis has just made that obsolete as a game mechanic. Because you can just like there's a wiki article like day and date for any game that's out that's like, here are all the recipes for all the things you need.
You're not wrong.
And so it's like, to me, I'm like, this is an antiquated mechanic, and like I will admit that I had some fun cooking in Zelda, right? That was like a fun thing. Maybe it's just because I like that little jingle so much.
Yeah.
That plays while you're cooking. But I mean, looking up those recipes was not hard. And more so, you have to go fetch the ingredients anyway. And to me, that's like the busy work of recipe and crafting is like, well, I still have to go grind to get the ingredients. Like, don't make me waste precious ingredients that I may only have a couple of, trying to experiment to find what the recipe is, which is why I always just end up looking at the wiki. Because I'm like, I only have 3 of these things. It took me hours to find them. I'm not going to waste them trying to figure out what the correct recipe is. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe
I think it's
in the minority here.
I think it's one of those mechanics that can be done very well, and it can be fun to experiment, or it can just be a huge pain in the ass, because I can see both sides of that.
Yeah, I think if the ingredients, if any of them are too rare, then yeah, that would be really obnoxious to like have it then be ruined and you don't even get anything for it. But with Spiritfarer in particular, there wasn't anything that was like crazy rare, so it was just kind of like, all right, throw this egg in the oven with this other thing, see what happens. And I also just think it's fun and stupid, the things that you could theoretically make with 2 ingredients. I was like, that's not how that works. But
yeah,
I like the idea that it could. Sure, why not? An egg and a whatever, something else becomes a pot pie. You're like, sure.
I know Divinity did it really well too, because they have a crafting system where you can combine spell books, and sometimes if you get like a certain like a wind spell and a fire spell and you combine them and it works, you can have like a fire tornado. But what's nice about that is that you don't lose the items that you tried crafting with. It's just like, this doesn't work, dummy, try something different. And I think in that sense, it can be fun to experiment. The other RPG mechanic that kind of frustrates me, and I've noticed this in some games, is when enemies scale with your character in the sense of the experience points you get from them. So it's almost impossible to grind. And I understand this is the game's way of trying to keep you in check to make sure you don't get way too OP. But I think that's part of the joy of an RPG sometimes. And it's kind of cathartic to just like grind your life away for a few hours. And so it gets frustrating when enemies scale with you, and then not in terms of level, but in terms of like, as you become stronger and stronger, you get less and less XP from the enemies. And then at that point, it's just like, then you're kind of like, how do you feel OP in this unless you want to like really grind for a lot of time, and then you don't feel strong. And then
yeah, because like that was definitely, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it anymore, but I definitely remember being like, I want to over level so that the next boss I encounter, I sneeze on him and he just, crumbles to the ground. And
that's the fantasy, right?
Yeah, you're like, I'm so powerful. But then when the devs are like, not in our game. You will work for this boss battle. I'm like, but I don't want to work for the boss battle. I want to kill 100 slimes.
Exactly.
And then just walk up to him and tap him on the head and be like, good night.
Yeah, I'm with you, Britt, that I don't like that as a mechanic either. I was really glad in Assassin's Creed how they got rid of that for Valhalla, because in Odyssey it was really frustrating that you would go back to some early starting areas expecting to be like OP, and then you weren't. It was just like it had scale, and I was like, but no, I spent literally all this time in other parts of the world so I could come back here and be like a badass
and one-shot some things. I want to one-shot anything here. Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's always a really fun feeling. You're just like, hey, I'm so powerful.
I know, I love it. It makes me feel good.
Yeah. My God. I know this probably sounds like we're just ragging on like game mechanics, but
that's what the whole point of this thing was.
That was the whole point of the segment.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's also like that whenever you get like inventory restrictions, I get really upset. It's like where you
we just want to hoard.
I do. That's really like all I want in games. Like in addition to like hating encumbrance as a mechanic, but like we have the technology now where you can literally have unlimited pockets. Just give me unlimited pockets all the time. Let me just pick up all the things, and if I have to sort them out later, I can sort them out later. But like it's just such a, maybe this is because I run into this in Destiny and in the Division all the time, where it's like I'm always having to go back to base to like drop off stuff in my stash, and then I have to spend time going through my stash. And I'm like, well, either reduce the amount of loot that's in your game or give me more inventory.
Yeah, I think there's also piggybacking off that a little bit. Like, you need really solid UI and inventory management systems for RPGs, and I would say that's the one area that can kind of make or break it for you as you're playing. Because if it is a game where you're picking up stuff left and right, maybe they were kind to you, didn't give you encumbrance, they can still fuck you over by giving you the world's worst inventory management system where you are digging through shit left and right and you cannot parse out what's still good, what's stronger than your current gear. Oh my God, I hate that so much when you're like, I have to fucking pull up this other screen and go back and like compare all these things. Or like, how is this sorted? It's not neat. I can't sort anything. Awesome.
It makes my butt clench.
Yeah. So like, that's the thing that is really hard to get correct. But when it is done correct, you're just like, hallelujah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Love a good inventory.
Nothing is sexier than a good inventory system.
It's really not.
I'm trying to think of like a really sexy inventory system. Like who's got like a really good inventory system?
It's hard to say off the top of my head.
A good inventory system has a whole bunch of different sorting mechanics. You can sort by weight, damage,
rarity.
Effects. Yeah, exactly. Rarity. Yeah.
I also like it when they're like, this is all junk, and you just click one button and all your junk just goes.
Goodbye, junk.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, what are you doing?
That's the worst, too. Yeah, it's like when you have all this shit or something that automatically sells all junk at the end. Like, that's fantastic, too.
Yes.
But then don't do that tricky-ass shit where sometimes the thing in the junk pile actually is important for some reason, and you're like, why would you do this to me?
Like a quest item or something?
Yeah, not even a quest item. Quest items usually aren't, but there have definitely been times when it's like the internet will tell you, like, actually don't sell this one particular item because
This one NPC in this one world will want it, and we'll trade you 5 golden chickens for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's true. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of some games that have like random trinkets in them that you like pick up while you're looting, and then you never really stop to look at them. I know like Skyrim had a bunch of like random stuff in it. Elder Scrolls games where you would like just like when you're looting stuff, you would just pick up all the stuff that would, of course, contribute to your fucking encumbrance. But then it wouldn't be like specific things that you need, but it could be things that you could sell. And I'm like, but like, I don't need all these individual things. I mean, sure, I guess it's cool that somebody animated this piece of bread in like 5 different ways.
Bread.
But like, it's not meaningful to the overall arc of what I'm doing. It's just like a piece of loot that's generic that I can sell. It's just like reduce the amount of types of in-game currencies. Like, I don't need all of these different ways to make money. Just give me like, just instead of me picking up a piece of bread that I have to go sell, just let me pick up the silver instead.
Yeah.
Right.
Amen.
But then I wouldn't have to go to the vendor and then look at the vendor's wares as much and sell the things.
Yeah.
Like,
I think one of the other big things,
I know, right?
yeah, is it's not necessarily fetch quests, because some of them again can be done right. It's okay, so I have a piece of bread and I need to go sell it to the vendor, but it's like, okay, to do that, first of all, you need to go to this person, and then they're going to tell you that you can't sell it to the vendor, and so you complete this optional side quest, and then from here you need to complete another side quest and help Sally walk across the street with her dog XYZ, and it's like to get from point A to point B is so many different like quest lines, and that's
I don't mind it if at the very end it does not make me go all the way back to the beginning. I cannot stand it when it like forces you to loop back. But when a game auto completes it, is like, you've gone on this journey, but it just completes here. Fine, okay. But yeah, it makes my blood boil when they're like, now backtrack all the way to where you fucking were. I'm like,
oh my
exactly.
God.
Why?
That fucking movie night quest from Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
God.
Oh yeah,
It was the
exactly,
fucking
Andrea.
quest
That's
that
it.
wouldn't end.
That's it. Yeah,
Like-
that's a perfect example. Yep.
John gave me so much shit for that quest. He's like, "Are you still doing this fucking quest?" And I was like, "Listen, it's not my fault that
I didn't design it.
Yeah, it's like one of those quests where you have like a quest giver in a specific location, and then that quest giver is like, okay, you have to go to this place to pick up this thing. You go to that place and you have to go back to the quest giver, and now they're like, okay, now go to this place and pick up this thing.
And then go back
to the quest giver. Now go to this place and and I had to do that like 17 fucking times.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating, but like it was a really, really long quest line for like not that great of a payoff. I mean, it was fun, but like I was really annoyed.
Yeah, like stuff like that. If you want there to be another element, it needs to be like they've called you on voice comms while you're at the place where you picked up the first item. They're like, actually, I need you to get one more thing. Go over here. And like, just do that so I'm not going back and forth feeling like your errand boy. Like, I don't like it.
Yeah, the logistics person in me gives me hives. I can't do that.
I'm not, yeah. We're not here for that. Thank you, no. This is incredibly inefficient, and I hate you.
This is kind of therapeutic, just like getting
is,
this
right?
all off of our chests. Just being like, I hate this thing. Make it
It's
go away.
bad. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Oh man.
But we still love RPGs. Still my favorite.
We do.
I
Still my
know, right?
favorite
They're
form of
great.
video game.
Yep.
Because where else can I wear pretty outfits and run around smashing people with sticks or magic?
Okay, so how about to cap this segment, we each say one thing we love about RPGs.
Self-expression.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
You didn't
I
miss a beat on that one. Yeah.
love making my character look the way they want to look. Making them, well, not every RPG, but a lot of RPGs give you a little bit of that personality choice. And then like as you're, the really good ones where they give you really cool armor outfits. You could be like, I'm wearing a cape, bitch, because they're the best. And then, and yeah, then you just get to like run around and be really powerful when you get to that point. And then that's when you get to look super cool.
Yeah.
End game RPG armor and weapons are like some of my favorite things.
Yes. Very
Yeah.
similar to that is a mechanic for me when you're upgrading weapons or gear and it visually changes.
Ooh, yeah.
One of the best examples I think of this was God of War. I loved the way when you upgraded the weapons in the game, they like, visually took on a different look. they incorporated this into the recent Assassin's Creed. I know a lot of other RPGs have done this as well. And it makes it feel like all the work you did gathering those resources, doing those quests, getting whatever you needed to make those upgrades felt like it had like a tangible benefit. I know Diablo does this as well. And so I love that feeling of like, I put all of this time into making this weapon that I love to use, and now it looks cooler in addition to being more powerful. I love that feature. More.
I remember got a pair of pants in Diablo that constantly emitted like gas because it was a stinky pair of pants. But they were
the most
so powerful.
you thing I've ever heard.
I know, they were so powerful that I had them for so long. But it was so funny because every time my character would walk around, like this little tuft of gas would like come out of the butt.
That's amazing, and I want you to make them in real life.
Okay.
I just want you to walk around and either put a wind
Fart.
machine back there or actually fart. You know,
Okay.
depending on how.
I'll get some, like,
I want you to
that
go
day.
crop dusting at the next event you cosplay.
I do.
Okay.
Crop dust.
But like, then
Okay.
you could be like, it's because of the pants. I'm cosplaying as this Diablo character. What
I'll
else
have to find
could
out
I
what
do?
they were called. It was pretty funny. It was like stinky, and then every enemy around me got like a debuff or something. It was pretty great.
Amazing.
It was.
I love it.
I think for me, and this is kind of piggybacking off of what Steimer was saying, is I feel like in RPGs more than any other genre of video game, you really get the sensation of you were exploring this big, vast world, and you typically have a crew of characters with you as well that you get to experience the world with you. And when it's done correctly and done right, it's just kind of like reading a really good book or watching a really good TV series, and you get to go through these like plot twists and the climax of the story, and you get to learn about this whole new world, and it's just a really great way to sink your time into something. You know, the time goes really fast when you do that, and that's why I was really craving a JRPG, because I feel like more than just regular RPGs, that you really get that experience with a well-done JRPG, which Trails of Cold Steel is providing in spades for me, which is awesome. So I think that's something I really appreciate about JRPGs and RPGs and all of the RPGs of the world.
All of those RPG element
All
games.
of the RPG element games.
Ah,
Whatever.
so
They're all
many.
blending into one genre.
They really
anymore.
are.
Action RPGs, MMORPGs, JRPGs.
Survival horror
Tactical
RPGs are probably
RPGs.
next.
Yeah, that's the thing you need. I mean, I feel like that's going to be Dying Light 2.
I was
if
like,
that
that
game
is
ever
pretty
comes
much
out.
Dying Light. When,
Oh,
yeah.
man, speaking of Dying Light, we didn't talk about it, but that studio, I'm worried about it, man.
I know.
Techland. Yeah, not great news coming out of there.
I know. A topic for another time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's end on a high note.
Yes.
We love RPGs. And Andrew, thank you so much for your question. And thank you to everybody who submitted. If we didn't pick your question, don't worry. You can resubmit it again for a chance next month. But these are fun. And if you guys want to participate, of course, patreon.com/whatsgoodgames is the place to do that and to support everything we do here at WGG. We hope that you guys had fun. If you guys have something from an RPG that you're like, you guys missed this, leave it in the comments below. Or if you have a feature that you love that we also didn't talk about, leave that in the comments below. We love hearing from you guys, and we hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.